Hello. How are you guys?
I'm doing pretty good.
So good.
Awesome. Those of you who are with us live can see. Those of you who are not with us live and listening can hear that there are only 3 voices on the show today. Nick and Danny and I are here. We're excited to play. We're going to play a special game today. Steve is traveling right now, and Justin had some work obligations, so they're not going to be with us today. But the 3 of us will hopefully be able to entertain, excite, titillate. We will do what we can.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we are going to be playing a game called Durance by Jason Morningstar. If you've ever heard of the game Fiasco, he also wrote Fiasco. But this is a game that is like technically GM-less, so all 3 of us will take turns playing characters and doing some things. There's going to be some world building that you're going to get to see, some dice rolling, and it is a game that is new to all of us. So hopefully this goes well. But before we jump into it, I am not as good at coming up with banter questions as Justin. But what is something unexpected that happened to you guys this week?
Unexpected. If your life is always in the throes of chaos, does it get to a point where all the quote-unquote unexpected is expected?
It depends on whether or not you expect it.
Okay, in response to Danny's chaotic life, something that we had expected was that we played a Magic draft last night. That was fun. It was for Innistrad. Our buddy bought a box and split some packs and stuff. Good time. For me, unexpected. Literally the night before, I did it. It wasn't really a. It wasn't really a draft. We just like bought a lot of cards for the Final Fantasy set. It was basically impulse buy with like 3 of my friends, and spent way too much on Magic, which is very funny because going from like buying a box and just splitting it with one other guy, and then a whole commander deck that is upcharged far too much to the next day, only paying $15 for like what is essentially a deck, right?
Yeah.
Is like, wow, yeah, maybe I didn't do that right.
Yeah. A lot of the Final Fantasy stuff has been, a lot of stores are like upcharging it like crazy, and it's really bad. Pro tip, if it's even still available, but most people don't think about this as a place to get Magic cards, Best Buy has Final Fantasy sets
Yeah.
at MSRP.
At MSRP.
Ah, why did we do that?
Yeah.
Dude, I paid
Sometimes-
50% over MSRP. More than that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
That's upsetting.
Doesn't Costco also sell Magic cards?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
and
does.
below
Yeah.
MSRP.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you have to have the membership, but it's below MSRP.
Mm.
They don't always
I gotta
have
talk to
cards, and they
Nathan.
don't always have every set either. They
Mhm.
usually
Okay.
probably have Final Fantasy. I haven't been to Costco since the set released, but when Lord of the Rings released, they were selling the commander decks for like $5 cheaper than you could get them at MSRP.
Oh hell yeah!
But
It's rocked Nick's world. That's something that that's something unexpected that happened to Nick.
Yeah, there we go.
I
Just been
Was
throwing
dr-
money away. No, sorry.
I was driving yesterday, and just saw a bird fall out of the sky, which I've been hearing a lot of people talk about recently, and I don't understand why it's happening. And I only saw one. I keep hearing people talk about, it's like seeing on Reddit people talking about swaths of birds just falling out of the sky. I saw a post the other day where something like 10 pelicans just
Hmm.
fell out of the sky in Florida. They were like all over this.
Oh yeah,
neighborhood.
I'd seen that too.
Yeah, crazy. So I thought about that when I just saw this crow just
Weird.
drop dead out of the sky.
That seems that's
What's going on?
crazy. I was gonna say maybe it's the air quality index from the past week, but in Florida that wouldn't make sense. I feel like because that's very
Yeah.
far from Canada. So
Yeah. Who knows? All right, guys. I am nervous as heck, but we should probably jump into it, shouldn't we?
heck yeah.
We can go for it.
Yeah. All right. Let me set the stage a little bit for our listeners, for people who don't know what Durance is about. I'm going to read a couple of sections of the book. I think that's the best way to kind of handle this. But what is the game about? This is straight from the book. On a remote planet far from civilization, the worst criminal scum from a dozen star systems have been dumped. Charged with building new lives under the watchful eye of authority within a brutal hierarchy of savagery and servility, convicts and guards alike must make hard choices. Every colonist has their own code of conduct and their own aspirations that invariably come at the expense of others. This dangerous new world is too small for everyone to succeed. In fact, it may well be too small for anyone to succeed. Only the shrewdest, the toughest, and the luckiest will get a chance to find out. Will you be among them? So basically, this game is we are playing characters who exist on a penal colony, an intergalactic penal colony. This government called the Authority has this idea that these criminals will be reformed if we set them to the task of creating a new world, and hopefully they'll be successful and thrive, and the Authority will grow more powerful as a result. The reality of what things look like on the planet in the penal colony is different from the ideal. The book goes into details about how the surveys were incomplete or even lied about. The planets are not what was expected, and people are unpredictable as well. And so just because there's an idea for how people are going to act when they're put into a certain situation doesn't mean that that's how it's actually going to play out. And so in this game, we are all going to be playing characters on either side of what is referred to as the ladder. So the ladder has on one side authority and on the other side convicts. And then there's a hierarchy within either side, going from the governor who leads the colony on behalf of the Authority and his counterpart on the criminal side of things called the Dimmerdamber, who's the criminal overlord. And then you have people on each rung below them. We'll get more into what those rungs look like as we actually get into play here. Do you guys have any questions so far? Anything you wanted to add that might have stuck out to you as you were looking at the book?
No. There are some civilians who came. I feel like that's important to say.
Yes, that is important to say. There are people who came as civilians, people who were on both sides of the law. There are ex-convicts who came who had already served their sentence, were not sent to be penalized, but chose to come looking for a better life and more opportunity. There are people who came. So the authority sent the governor, sent some of his functionaries, and sent military Marines along with them. And some of those Marines brought their families, as well as just people looking, think about the American westward expansion, people looking for new opportunities and the promise of maybe a gold rush or something of that nature. But we will get more into the people of this world soon. First, we actually need to discover what this world even is. And so as we go to jump into that, I would love for one of you guys to maybe throw the link I sent you into Twitch. So if you're watching on Twitch, you can check out this link and it will give you just viewing privileges to see the worksheet as we're building this world.
Dropping it now.
Dropping it, Nick?
Yep.
All right.
Has been dropped. Oh, I guess I should.
Excellent. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start with a planetary survey. This is going to tell us what this planet is actually like. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go around in a circle. We're going to start with Nick. It'll go Nick, and this will be the order for the rest of the game. It'll go Nick, Danny, me. Nick, Danny, me. Nick, Danny, me. Okay? And so what you're going to do, Nick, is you're going to in the worksheet, if we were playing on paper, we'd be crossing off and circling. Because we can't do that, we're going to use strike through and highlight. I think that'll be the best way to indicate this. And so what I'll have you do, Nick, is you're going to look at this planetary survey and you're going to decide which element here you want to definitely be true about the planet that we are on. So the options here are that the atmosphere is excellent, the climate is mild, the geology is stable, the hydrology is favorable, the biology is benign, or the intelligent life is absent. So you're going to choose one of these that you want to definitely be true. And then you're going to choose one that you want to definitely be false. Or that you want the opposite to be true. You're going to cross off the one that you want the opposite to be true, and you're going to highlight the one that you want to be true. Does that make sense?
Yep, with you. All right. I want the hydrology to be favorable. Excellent. Mostly because I am unsure how we would survive even a few days if it was not.
Yeah. So here's what we'll do. We'll do the fill there.
And the phrase hydrology is favorable. Does that just mean that
it means that there's potable water?
Okay.
There's water we can drink.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's okay. I was wondering. I was like,
I guess you could do like an ice planet.
Yeah.
Or no, that's still.
Well, I mean, that would still technically probably be unfavorable in the long run.
Yeah, you're right.
And it would depend on what we choose for B.
Okay, so it doesn't mean that there's no hydrology. It means that there's difficulty so it could be like a desert planet or a ice planet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was unsure of the implications of the opposite. Anyways.
And that's another part of this is that there's a level of we get to decide what those implications are.
That's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Danny.
So you want the hydrology to be favorable.
I do. Because I want intelligent life to be present. So I'm going to say that the intelligent life is absent is false. I cross it out.
Excellent.
Nice.
All right. Now, Danny, you're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. You're going to pick one that you want to be present, and we're going to highlight it, and one that you want to be absent, and we're going to strike it through.
Okay. I don't want the atmosphere to be excellent.
Interesting.
So let me. You said you strike through for that.
Yes.
Okay.
Nick, would you just throw an announcement in Discord too for me that we're live?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a scientist or anything. Having like an ideal or unstable atmosphere, that would directly affect like the gravity on the planet, right? Like it would be more like a
Yeah, well, think of
not
not necessarily. It depends. I mean, there's different things that it can do, which we again can determine.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I mean, like, what are you asking? Just because you want to clarify what this means? Because we'll drill down on it in a bit. But
Okay, so if we're gonna drill down on it, then that's fine. And which one do I want definitely to be true? I think climate is mild is fine.
all right. And I think having an unstable or less than perfect atmosphere along with intelligent life, this is already shaping up to be a vicious planet. I think my options here are to make it way worse in two different ways.
Heck yeah.
I think I'm going to make it so that the biology is hostile, but the geology is stable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
All
not,
right.
we're not gonna like fall into a fissure, but something might eat us.
Right.
Something
Yeah.
will probably eat us, actually.
Yeah, there's not like an exorbitant amount of tectonic activity, but yeah.
Now it's
But we
making a
can't
lot more
breathe,
sense.
and there are aliens
Yeah.
that hate us.
Now it's making a lot more sense why the authority would resort to criminals to colonize this planet.
Yeah, if you read the intro, that's a really good explanation of
Mhm.
Yeah.
how this would actually go, and from a Western perspective,
Mhm.
or like a Western frame of mind. Like if America or something tried to do something like this.
Yeah.
Also, this is perfect because I just recently watched Mickey 17,
Nice.
which is
Yeah, that's
a great touchstone.
all right. Everybody,
Yeah.
go watch Mickey 17.
go watch
after
Mickey
this,
17.
and then you'll have more context. If you're listening, you can just pause, come back.
It's literally just this game.
All right. And so next we are going to do the exact same thing. So starting with Nick again, we're going to repeat this process for the colonial record.
Okay. All right. For the colonial record, planning is meticulous, density is low, workforce is motivated, prosperity is high, justice is universal, order is well established. Oh man.
Just strike through all of them.
Yeah. I know. Well, I know what I want to be not true, but I kind of.
And
All right.
the way I'm looking at it too, like so, like workforce is motivated. I'm guessing we're gonna drill down on that as well.
Yes.
Like workforce could be motivated like in the wrong way, you know.
There is a certain degree of that not necessarily being the thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to a section called what drives us, which is whether you're talking about the criminals or the authority, everyone in the colony has the same drive. We'll define that drive. There's like a surface level version of it that we're going to choose, but we'll drill down into what that means for our colony. But the workers are motivated is typically going to be directly connected to that drive.
To the drive. Okay. Cool.
All right. So I think I'm going to make prosperity as high as true.
Nice.
I want this to be a prosperous colony for whatever reason. But specifically, I want the density, which I'm assuming is population density,
Yes.
to be high. So I'm going to say that density is low is false.
All right. So we're like looking at kind of like a city colony here.
Or just a really overpopulated, like poorly set up colony. We'll see what else gets set
Yeah.
up. We'll see what happens.
All right, I was reading as I was starting to talk. Danny, I started to say justice is universal. I was going to call you justice is universal.
All right, justice
Hey.
is universal.
I like it. Pretty sick name.
I mean, density low and prosperity high. I think I like the meticulous planning.
You like that being true?
I like that being true.
All right.
I don't think justice is universal, so I would like to
Cool.
strike that.
Yeah. All right.
It is interesting because like the whole setup of this storytelling feels like or like this game, sorry, the story this game is trying to tell feels like it's like a really like uneven like ladder pyramidal like society or hierarchical. But it's interesting that like you can say justice is universal because like in a hierarchical society justice is never universal. So I wonder how that would look.
Yeah. Another thing that's worth pointing out and kind of goes with what you're saying too, that we will get into again more when we start looking at the notables, at the characters. But the central conceit of this game is that both the authority and the convict side of the ladder are important for holding up society. Without either side, everything collapses. For holding up this society.
Okay. Interesting.
But workforce is motivated or order is well established. I think that there could be some fun things to play with if density is high, but order is also well established. And the workforce is not motivated. Especially because prosperity is high. So where's that prosperity coming from? All right. So next we are going to look at what these planets, what this planet and colony actually are. So there's pages in the book that we're going to go ahead and go to. So let's go to starting on page 57 is where the planetary survey begins, and we're going to find out what planet we're looking at. So we're looking for planet BCD.
Oh, based off the letters that we picked to keep true in the planetary survey.
Yes, based off the letters we chose to keep.
Yeah.
So we're looking at page 69, 71 on the PDF, 69 printed. And this is called Twins World.
It is indeed.
And so I'm going to put that in the name here. Do one of you want to go ahead and start reading the survey?
Sure. I've named this planet after myself because it is such a promising prospect that I am sure to be enshrined forever by this action. Twins World has a stable geological profile, a gentle climate, and abundant water, recommended for colonization.
Danny, go ahead and read the revised survey.
Oh, sorry. That first survey was by Twin, captain of a survey vessel. Oh, no. Yeah. Twin.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go.
The revised survey is the atmosphere is dense and difficult to breathe, making fieldwork slow and painful. Local flora is alternatively aggressive and explosive. Intelligent creatures are very hostile. Coming here was a mistake.
And then the details. So we've got Twins Abyss, which is an uncharted cave system, and Bolter Haven. We'll get into who Bolters are later. A garden of death cultivated by a madman, an 8-foot animal snare pole modified to deliver an electric shock, a rare shrub yielding berries with hallucinogenic properties, an abandoned research station with windows shattered outwards, and, quote, Creech tried to reason with it.
How are those details?
On the planet. I don't know.
I love it so much.
All
Should
right.
I add those to the notes page?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
And then we're going to go ahead and look at our colonial record. So this is going to tell us about the colony that we have settled using the same method. So we're going to be looking for colony UXY.
UXY, page 98 on the book. That's VXY. Never mind. Page 92 in the book.
Okay, 94 on the PDF. Thank you. Burkestown. According to authority, Burkestown is on solid footing after a few uncertain months. The colony was well organized from the beginning, and our governor has long had a vision of order and progress that has carried us far. Walk around Burkestown, inside the walls or out, and you'll see prosperous farms and obedient lags hard at work bettering themselves and the colony. Nick, go ahead and read the convict side.
Okay, convict. We're all afraid, all the time, full stop. They cram us together and work us like dogs, taking us all that we make and giving us back a pittance. They use us as they please, when they please, and when anyone steps out of line, he's cut down and cut down for good.
Are you reading from the right?
UW.
One?
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry.
You're reading the wrong
No,
page.
You're good.
I
90 should
scrolled
be
to the
page-
right
No, you're good.
page. It's Delta Colony. Yeah, sorry. Don't work, don't eat, don't fight,
Nope.
don't eat.
Oh, we're on
Burkestown is
Burkestown.
page 92
On the book.
on the book, or
Oh,
page 94 of the
How did I
PDF.
keep? Sorry.
You're
No,
fine.
you're good.
Okay. Would Burke be proud of his eponymous town? Not if he stayed long enough to see through the tidy walkways, the freshly painted buildings, and the functional defensive walls. What he'd see if he lingered was a virtual police state, a vicious authority mob using terror as a cudgel to keep the legs in line. He'd see food rationing as a weapon, men working only when forced to, a disaster waiting to happen.
Burke's a little absent.
And so you want to go ahead and read the details of this colony, Danny?
Yeah. So the details are the governor's underground quote unquote mansion, a badly forged ration card, a hidden stash of delicious food now gone bad, a secret clubhouse for the authority elite overlooking the colony and serving the very best food, authorities' yearly report larded with lies but electronically compromised by savvy lags, and a webgone colony of men, woebegone line of men shuffling toward the horizon.
Yeah. So now with those details and all that stuff in mind, we can have a little bit of a conversation about we don't need to use all of these details. These are a jumping off point. All of these ideas are how we're going to really define what this planet and what this colony are. So I think that there's probably a system that is certainly less than equal, where with the hostile atmosphere, I'm imagining like breathers being handed out to specific people.
Yeah, like respiratory breathers. Yeah.
Like maybe even that there are like small, like those things that I guess they're not things, it's just like a thing they do. But like in Wakanda Forever, when the underwater people had like the water bubbles that they would keep over their mouths so that they could breathe out of the water.
Online, yeah.
Yeah. I'm imagining something like simple and elegant like that for the authority, but a lot of convicts and like lags, maybe higher up on the ladder, they have access to those as well. But people lower down, and even maybe some people who are on the authority side of things, but lower down the ladder, have to carry like large apparatuses that are like tanks on their backs and like these
you'd almost
wieldy things.
If the atmosphere is dense, it's almost it's basically like a vacuum filter. Like it's just putting less air into your mouth.
Yeah.
Less less oxygen. Which is just very interesting.
Yeah.
I also do like the idea of the Uncharted cave system.
Yeah.
So are we picking and choosing which ones?
Yeah, we
or
don't
are
have to
just
use
going-
all of them.
Okay,
we can
alright.
pick and choose and add our own as well,
Another own as well.
which is where that breather idea came from. I just thought it was a cool flavor thing.
It is
Mhm.
indeed.
I mean, I think the Uncharted cave system just welcomes so many different opportunities for the storytelling that we're gonna do. So I like that as
Mhm.
well. A garden of death cultivated by a madman.
I don't know how we put that in, but
Insane.
I want to put it in.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
I'm fine being rid of the idea of the colony having an 8-foot animal snare pole,
Yeah.
because I like the idea of the colony not yet like having a way to deal with the wildlife.
Not in a way that's
Got it.
ingenuitive, at least.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if the Marines are just out there, like, doing shifts and shooting animals, and that's the best that they can do, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe having convicts out there as bait to like draw out
Oh,
some
yeah.
of the
It's horrible and good idea.
Mhm.
that might be one of the things that they use to, because like we're talking about this being very authoritarian, maybe that's one of the things that the tools that they use to keep people online. You break these laws, break these rules, you become bait.
Yeah, you're gonna be sent on the front lines of the next
That's a good name for that.
next expedition.
Food on feet. Bolter bait? Baited bolter? I don't know. I'll keep workshopping that.
Yeah.
Why does it not?
Creech tried to reason with it.
Yeah, I got nothing for that. We can
Yeah, let's just get rid of that one.
Yeah.
yeah, let's do the strike through and highlight thing on this page as well.
Oh, sure. We can. This page for listeners is this is just us. We're not.
It's like a notes page.
Yeah.
We could probably like, for those listening to the recording, we could probably like maybe put like the link in the description or something.
I didn't set it up
or-
so that it wasn't editable by everyone, so anyone with the link can edit. I could change that, but
All right, cool.
maybe afterwards we'll just post a copy or something.
Yeah. I like the hallucinogenic berry shrub being a
I do really like that too, especially
fun.
given that it says explicitly that like any leg who's not working, like, or is not currently doing something, is trying not to work as much as possible.
yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know that it'll ever come up, but I mean the abandoned research station with the window shattered outwards is kind of a cool.
Yeah, just
thing,
just
too.
have it out
Like,
there.
just-
Why not?
Yeah.
Like the cave, it's just a nice thing to have.
Yeah. I'm not gonna strike through Creech try to reason with it because who knows what might come up later. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna highlight it either. We won't use it as like a
We'll see where it goes. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
What do you guys think about the governor having an underground mansion?
I don't know.
I like it on one hand because it feels like I could see a system where like the elite move underground because it's the safest place to be on a hostile planet.
That's a good point. Also, if we're talking about the air density thing, it's probably easier to keep like something structured underground, like pressurized or depressurized, in like a denser atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that works. The scavs live on the surface, or the lags.
Yeah. And
Different.
maybe even if, if population control is an issue and they start building upwards, maybe the poorer or the farther down the food chain you are, the higher up you live.
Mm. Yeah, like down in the governor's mansion, he doesn't even need to wear a breathing apparatus at all, and he can just.
The higher you go, the less the pumps reach you or whatever, like the environmental pumps.
Yeah.
So even while you're sleeping, you got to wear a mask.
Yeah. I like that.
I also added a seventh thing to planetary details just for the breathing apparatuses that Johnny talked about.
I'm gonna just move that to colonial.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes more sense.
But yeah, thank you for adding it.
Yeah.
I like the secret clubhouse for the authority over the authority elite as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like it says like overlooking, and I kind of like that detail too. If this is like it has that sort of like a gentrification sort of feel to it. If it's like they force the poor people to live up high, but then at the top floor of the tallest building they have this secret club that poor are not allowed into.
Or maybe some of the poor working.
Yeah, probably poor from the authority, but they I would imagine that it's like a one of those like well-known secrets among the convicts.
Probably one of the things that the convicts and like sort of the authority keep running together.
Yeah,
it's like a kind of form of entertainment for themselves.
I also really like the idea that the yearly report, which is full of lies, could be compromised by the lags, because like the idea that this colony is well ordered, I feel like it makes the authority feel a certain level of like safety and confidence that the convicts could take advantage of.
Yeah. No, I like that. Also, just the whole idea of Burke himself being like incredibly absent makes me think that like there's someone else among the authority who's like actually like the hand of authority when it comes to actually dealing with the convicts, whereas Burke is sort of like,
well, Burke is just like the namesake of the town, just like
yeah.
You're muted, Nick.
So there is like a governor.
Yeah, which
it doesn't have to be Burke.
If we wanted it. Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
That will be up to whoever chooses to be the governor.
Then there is also like a judicator, like a judge. I forget what the exact title is, but that person would ideally be like the force of law.
Yes, the judge advocate. Cool. I think that like we are in pretty good shape. If you guys feel good about moving on to the next step.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
So we're going to talk about what drives us. And so this is going to be a similar sort of thing. So we're going to take the we take the planetary survey and colonial record worksheet, and starting with Nick, we're going to cross off the option that we like the least. And cross off one each until they're all but one is gone. And then the only remaining option is your colony's unique drive. And so we're going to write it down in the blank space in the uncertainty triangle, or in our case, the uncertainty list. And then we will take a moment to imagine how the chosen drive will be reflected within the colony and how it might motivate our characters.
So I'm sorry, it's exactly the same. I pick one I want.
No, you just pick one that you don't want and cross it off.
Okay, sorry.
And this is going to be the drive that drives the whole colony, convicts and authority alike.
Mm-hmm.
One I don't want. I'm going to just cross off safety.
Nice.
I feel like this needs.
All right, Danny.
I am going to cross off freedom. Nice.
That was one I was going to cross off.
Oh.
No, it's good. I think that is a concept that our particular group has explored a lot in similar situations. So it'd be nice to not have that be the drive. For similar reasons, I think I'm going to cross off harmony.
That was going to be the next one I was going to cross off. No one crossed it off.
I'm going to do control next. I don't want to... I feel like we've also touched on ideas with that. Maybe we fought against them. But
all right, so Danny, you are effectively choosing our drive. You are going to choose which one you don't want to be our drive, and the other one is going to be our drive.
To be clear to listeners, the last two are status and indulgence.
Yes.
So that is what Danny is choosing between.
Oh, I feel like indulgence would be really fun to explore.
Yeah,
let's do it. That is what I wanted from the beginning. So I didn't want to bias anybody else. Just like I'm just going to work for it, see what happens.
Yeah. All right. So indulgence becomes our drive. Now let me explain how this works. Now that we have our drive, we have the uncertainty table, which is servility, savagery, and indulgence. We are going to eventually roll dice to give those values. The first time in a scene where we are not sure how that scene should resolve, we will roll dice, and whichever one of these is the highest will be the drive that we use to resolve that scene. So let's say that we're in a scene where the governor and the Nimmerdamber are having a conversation with each other and they can't come to an agreement. We have to figure out how to resolve this, but we feel like there's uncertainty. We'll roll, and maybe they'll try and resolve it through servility. Maybe it'll be savagery. Maybe it'll be indulgence, but we'll figure that out in the moment. And then as things progress, what'll actually happen? So the guide will always be the one who rolls the dice. The guide, as I mentioned before, sort of like the GM, they're just kind of guiding the scene as it plays out. I might not have mentioned that on air. I might have mentioned that to you guys in the Discord. In this game, we don't have a GM. We have a guide. Each of us will take turns being the guide. When it is your turn to be the guide, if a scene needs certainty, we'll roll on the uncertainty table. And whenever you're rolling on the uncertainty table after the first time, you're actually going to choose one of the dice to keep its value, and you're only going to roll the other two and change their values to determine what is going to happen. But again, we will get more deep into that later. Let me actually pull up in the book real quick. I want to make explicitly clear what servility and savagery actually mean when they are used to resolve uncertainty. And I think that will help us define indulgence as well. Go ahead and pull this up. Give me just a second here. Feel free to vamp.
Vamp. Speaking of vamping, the Innistrad draft last night was great. Because vampires.
Were you the only one who ran vampires?
Yep, I ran Mardu vampires, and I think I was the only one.
I was putting in some work with werewolves, which is a weird mechanic. But I was having fun with it.
Also, speaking of vampires, They're gonna be taking the Twilight movies off of Netflix soon.
Good thing I own them.
I mean, same, but also like it's a sad day for those who don't.
They should probably own them. Just kidding. You probably shouldn't.
I think this is the most you've ever been allowed to talk about Twilight on air.
And Justin's like,
Nobody can stop us.
We are
immediately drunk with power.
all three of us the likely culprits to bring up Twilight every single time.
I love talking about Twilight. It's like a drug to me. It's like my own personal brand of heroin.
So what's next?
Okay, I am trying to find these definitions.
Where it
lost
drills down on the
track of
definitions of.
Right.
Well, we're going to drill down on the definitions of servility and savagery. These are basically the universal constants of any authority colony. And then I wanted to use those to help inform what indulgence looks like for us. But I don't want to take too long on this.
Yeah, it should be. You'd think it'd be close to the. Yeah.
I think I've.
Playing Durance 31. I'm also trying to find it as well.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. It's on page 23, right?
Yeah, if you found it,
Never
go ahead and
mind.
read it for it. Oh, nope. Okay.
Okay. Two of the drives, savagery and servility, represent the explicit and implicit exercise of power. They are universal constants in all penal colonies and are preset. The third point is something you set up, and the unique drive that serves as a counterpoint to savagery and servility. Shapes of nature. Your drive is vital. I think it means like. So it says that both of them mean an exercise of power. I think savagery is just a brutal exercise, like an overt
Yeah.
exercise of
Brutality.
power. Overt like exercision of power, whereas servility is power, but maybe not so obvious.
Here we go. Servility. When we roll, when servility is the highest, we are resolving the scene through dominance and obedience. When savagery is the highest, we are resolving it through violence and barbarism.
That makes more sense.
Go ahead and write those down so I don't forget.
I am also writing them down.
And so with that in mind, what do we think indulgence means?
I instantly think of like selfishness and
I think it's either
yeah.
offering like something to like satiate like the greed, or like it's like bartering but with like greed, and like because it's still about like getting somebody to do what you want, right? And
Yeah. I think that like for the most part, when we have a scene, we'll have like a clear center of that scene. And I think more likely than not, when indulgence is the high roll, we'll see that scene. I think a combination of what you guys have said, satiating their greed, selfishness, basically that that person doing what they can selfishly. No, like it's the governor who's at the center of that scene, but they're not acting on behalf of the colony or on the behalf of authority. They're acting for their own ends.
And I feel like it also shouldn't be like it shouldn't necessarily be, with some exception, I don't think it should necessarily be like their own ends towards a certain goal. Even it probably should be like their own ends, like towards like a vice of some kind.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways that we can play that out in any given scene. And there's also momentarily we're going to create characters who are going to have oaths, which also might help inform what indulgence looks like on an individual basis.
I love it.
But with that said, Danny, why don't you go ahead and roll a blue die? I'll roll a green die. Nick, can you roll a red die? And we're going to put those as our starting values in for these.
I got 6.
All right.
Oh, jeez. 6.
Jeez.
Okay. So that doesn't really necessarily affect anything right now. When we are rolling actively in a scene, a tie will actually have consequences. But I just wanted us to have values on the board so that when we're actually in a scene for the first time, there'll be values for us to select. That said, let's move on to step 4. So notables. And so we're going to take the notable sheet, which is going to be the second page of our document here for you guys online. And again, anybody who is watching on Twitch or listening, we will have the link is available to you to check this stuff out. See what we're doing here.
I also posted it on YouTube. Just throwing it out there.
Oh, yes, thank you. So you are going to take the notable sheet, or in this case, look at the notables document, and you're going to choose a role that you are interested in and write down the name of a notable. Name, you can either make something up, or there's on page 106, you can find a naming table. If the role has further options, such as the minion or functionary role, choose a specific descriptor now. So if you're creating a Marine, choose a rank. If you're choosing functionary, you choose between the judge advocate or the captain of the Marines, that sort of a thing. And then we're going to continue a round, and I'll describe the next step after we do one round.
Okay.
So, Nick, go ahead and choose your first character.
I just pick anybody?
You pick anybody.
I want a Marine.
All right. So go ahead and I split the document into 2 sides. So you're going to have an authority character and a convict character. So go ahead and fill out, what rank is your Marine?
I want him to be a corporal, which I believe is the...
you have the
high?
option of private, lance corporal, corporal, sergeant, or lieutenant.
Maybe, yeah, corporal.
Cool. Middle of the pack, my guy. Nice. Yeah, so go ahead and put his rank in there in the document. And do you have a name for him?
Steve Nickens.
I love it. All right, Danny, you are going to choose a character, again, on either side. If you choose authority, choose a character at a different rank. So you can no longer choose a Marine.
I think I want to choose a crawler.
Cool. So that is a crawler is an outcast, and that is a specific subset of outcasts there. So you're going to put that in your convict character.
So under role, or
it would be your role.
Role would be crawler, would be outcast crawler, and you're going to come up with a name for them. But don't worry about filling out number or oath right now. And just so the audience understands what these people are, I want to explain. I'll read the brief in the book real quick. So for Nick's character, Marine, Marines are here because they listen to the siren song of a lying recruiter. They are as effectively imprisoned as the convicts they guard. They are commanded by the captain of Marines, and depending on their leader's temperament and inclinations, they may be professional soldiers or ragged criminals themselves. Regardless, they are the biggest gang in town. The Marine ranks from lowest to highest are private, lance corporal, corporal, sergeant, lieutenant. There are also two officers. Sergeant, and then there are also two officers with the rank of lieutenant. And then Danny chose an outcast and a crawler specifically. And so crawlers are any lag, which is what they refer to as. They refer to the criminals, the convicts, as lags. Any lag who survives long enough to become a crawler. The most useless of all. Crawlers are the broken, the aged, the infirm, and the insane. No one pays crawlers any mind. And you named him Lead Lung?
Yes, I've named my crawler Lead Lung.
Nice. I think I am going to choose my convict character first. And I'm going to go with Minion, and Captain Sharp is the character I'm going to choose. Captain Sharp is the Dimmer Damber, the crime lord, their chief lieutenant. Captain Sharp bears a title that is deliberate mockery of rank and power. Captain Sharp is more often than not a homicidal thug and a paragon of corruption and violence used to extort and enforce the Dimmer Dammer's will. There is no such thing as a good Captain Sharp. Any convict, and in many colonies, emancipist, swell, or even marine, who fails to respect the Dimmer Dammer will have a short, unpleasant visit from Captain Sharp. And so, let's see here. So, Nick, you are now going to go ahead and choose your. I still have to pick a name, but let's say first name they use is V, and last name is. I don't know. What's a good last name?
Cooper.
Cooper. Yeah. There we go. V Cooper. And yeah, V is female. Cool. And so, Nick, now you are going to go ahead and pick your next character. Since you have not chosen a convict yet, you have to choose a convict, and they have to be at a different level on the ladder from your authority character. Which means that you cannot choose a lag or a sable.
Okay. All right. I'm going to do the Dimmer Dammer.
Awesome. I have a feeling.
I've got a feeling. Sorry. His name will be.
Otto. Love it. And so the Dimmer Dammer, as criminal in chief, as well as overseer of the illicit economy in goods and services, the Dimmer Dammer's word, metaphorically at least, is law. Whether a catalog business executive, whether a calculating business executive or a murderous dictator, the Dimmer Dammer is always well-fed and can kill with a word. The Dimmer Dammer's full title among convicts, in willful mockery of the governors, is Golden Sovereign of the Canting Mob, Monarch of all wrong, Supreme and utter Potentate of Lagdom, and Exalted Master of Sables. All right, Danny, who's your authority character?
I was between two, and I think I want to choose the Judge Advocate.
All right.
I was between that and the Captain Marines, but I think Judge Advocate is just a little more interesting to me.
Sure. Yeah. So the judge advocate is the colony's magistrate, the literal voice of civilization and jurisprudence. The judge advocate is authorized to impanel Marine officers to form court martials, a hugely unpopular task, and pass judgment on capital cases among the convicts. The judge advocate is charged with maintaining law, if not order, and is duty bound to prosecute authority and convict lawbreakers with equal vigor. A sentence of death is within the range of acceptable punishments, and only the judge advocate can legally remove the governor from office. An active judge advocate who takes the job seriously can be a hero or a corpse in short order.
Yeah. And I have named this judge advocate Xaver. And correct me if I'm wrong, the rank would be functionary, right? And the role would just be
Functionary.
judge.
Yep, functionary and judge advocate.
Nice. I was every time you're talking about rank, like outcast, minion, so on and so forth, I was so lost because I missed that page of the book, and I was like, "Where are we finding these?" I got it now.
And I think I'm gonna go with the governor for my authority character.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think if I remember correctly, somebody has to play the governor. Oh no, not necessarily. I don't want to be the governor then.
Oh, because the reason I didn't choose the governor as well is because the way he's been described, at least at the start, is like very much so like out of the picture, right? So I was thinking that'd be interesting to play like,
They're not out of the picture at all.
Yeah, no, sorry, not like out of the picture in a literal sense, but distant from. What am I trying to say? In the description of Burkestown.
I think you might be thinking of. I don't think that the governor's distant.
Yeah, no, he lives in the mansion under the city. He runs the city, ostensibly. Still part of it.
So let me just find here. So yeah, so the under the convict description of Burketown, like, would he be proud of his town? Not if he stayed long enough to see through the tidy walkway.
Right, Burke is not the governor.
Yeah,
Burke is the person who established the town.
Oh, okay. It's all making sense to me now.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that the person who established the town was the governor.
Right. Yeah. Like I grew up in Rochester, New York. Nathaniel Rochester founded Rochester, New York. Like he's been dead for 200 years, and so the town is still named after him. But
okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, I am going to be. I think I'll be a free colonist. I'm going to be a free colonist, and I'm going to be a spouse. I'm going to be the judge advocate's spouse.
Ooh.
I hope if I put that in the right spot. What is the judge advocate's spouse's name? Could give them an equally hoity-toity name. Xaver?
Yeah, I guess I didn't choose a last name. Maybe.
Esther.
Maybe his last name's
Yeah.
Advocate.
Maybe.
I don't think his last name
Xaver
should
and
be
Esther?
Advocate.
His last name's not Advocate, no.
Xaver Advocate, the judge advocate.
Because his path was really laid out for him.
Mm,
Right?
long line of judge advocates.
There is a name chart on page 106 that we could look at. If you wanna?
Xaver.
Roll 2d6, Danny.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Huh.
So Lymand. His last
Lymand.
name.
I like that.
Cool.
At least it's not Rogan. Honestly, that would have been fine with it being the judge advocate too, though. Never mind. Yeah, Xavier Lymand. Xavier and Rexton Lymand.
Yep.
I love it.
Okay. Now that we've all written down one notable, we've gone through the rotation again already. The player with the highest ranking notable on the authority side, that is you, Danny, should describe how the convicts are controlled and assign each convict character a unique serial number, and we'll write it down on the notable sheet.
Okay. So I'm just gonna skim the judge advocate description again just to inform.
Basically, while the governor runs the day-to-day, you hold down the law.
Mm-hmm. So you chose Captain Sharp. We have a Captain Sharp, a Crawler, and the Dimber Damber. For some reason, it just really makes sense to assign a Dimber Damber the number 1. You know, it just makes sense.
Do you want to give it like 00001 or something like that?
That's so funny because that's exactly what I said, and I didn't realize I was muted.
Yeah, so like
You totally up to
Like
you,
that?
Danny. Number of zeros.
so 00001.
Sure.
3 zeros and then a 1.
I'm gonna assign let along 0000.001 or not 001, like point like
What if you just gave them a 4-digit
Four.
number that matches the Dimmer Dammer having a 4-digit number?
okay, that makes sense. I was like the crawlers are even less than. Let's say let along
There is something
as-
interesting to the idea that, like, when someone becomes unable to work for whatever reason, they are like, their
Yeah.
work number is freed up and they get like a decimal place. But
I would
Wait,
just
did you
assume that the
say-
numbers are for identification purposes, not for like.
oh, that's fair.
densities. So this number should be pretty high. Let's say
It's like that whole Well, if they're a crawler, they're probably old. Their number might also be relatively low.
pretty
Mm.
low. Oh, true. Older, just sick.
Yes.
But let's
What do you want to
say
choose, dude?
I'm just going that. Okay, I just typed in 4 random numbers.
1, 2, 3,
Oh.
5.
And Captain Sharp, which is essentially like the Dimber Damber's bestest friend in the whole wide world.
Yeah. Right hand
Friends.
person.
It's a strong word.
But it took him a while to find that
You
person.
wouldn't call us friends, sir?
I gave V Albin Z0386.
Nice.
So
Okay.
still
And then-
pretty early.
Before we move on to O's, we just need to set our floating characters. So there are going to be 2 more characters in the game, one for each side of the ladder, that we can all take turns playing if we want to. We can bring them into scenes at any time. And then we can, if somebody's character dies, they can take over that character.
Am I picking?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, I think no.
It's your turn.
Is it my
Okay.
turn?
Because Danny picked his character last.
Because
Oh, I guess you picked the character last.
No, I picked my character last, and Danny was just doing his thing, assigning the.
Oh,
Mhm.
which it's like Danny did it.
Yeah.
So like,
So
would we move on to you, or do you just should we start over?
Nick then, right?
with me?
No, I think it'd be you, Nick.
Okay. So I can pick.
So you can pick
either
any,
one again.
You can pick from either side, and then Danny will just have to pick the opposite side and pick a different rung from what's been chosen.
So it can't be any of the ones chosen.
Right. So you could pick the governor, you could choose a bolter, or you could choose a lag or sable, or an emancipist.
Okay. I'm gonna do what I want. So the governor, if we don't pick the governor, is he never gonna be in a scene?
No, not necessarily. The governor could still show up, and we would name
Okay.
them when that happens. But we would just not know as much about them leading in.
And also,
like
if we
that.
end up having to, like, I don't know if you said this on air or in person, but like Johnny said, if a character dies, we end up having to just fully take over a floater. We'd make a new floater in that moment, right?
Mhm.
Then, hoping that Danny won't pick the governor, I will pick a bolter.
Cool.
You said hoping that I will pick the governor?
No, hoping that you won't.
That I won't.
I guess I could lock it in and just make it emancipist, and then I wouldn't have to deal with it. But or a free colonist. Or no, we don't have. We have a free colonist. Do we? Yeah, we do. Okay, sorry. Anyways, let's see. So he's a bolter. Let's say, I'm gonna say he's a smuggler. Like, that's not really like specific. I mean, that's not something that the game told me to say, but I feel like
Yeah,
that's a
no.
good thing.
Good.
And I'm gonna name him Griff.
Cool. Why don't you go ahead and, just for the sake of time, give him a number yourself while Danny picks an authority.
Yeah. And what are the ones I'm able to choose from again? I'm able to choose.
You can choose the governor or an emancipist.
Or emancipist. I think I'm gonna choose emancipist. So
Sorry.
Hunters. And she's going to be called Joan Axe. There we go.
Joan Bone.
Welcome to the Joan Bone.
All right. All right.
All right.
Okay. So on page 108 of the game book is where you guys can find oaths, because we're about to look at oaths. I'm going to read from the book a little bit just to explain what oaths are for you guys, for the listeners, so that we are all clear on what that is. And so for your oaths, an oath is something a character has sworn to never do. And in this step, you and the other players will choose them for your notables. An oath should be a very serious thing, and it should be something that will conflict with your colony's unique drive, for us being indulgence. An oath is something to be challenged. It should motivate the other players to create difficult situations for the notable. If you choose, I will never wear chains again as an oath, you are asking everyone else to put that character in situations where returning to convict life is tempting or even essential. Outward-facing oaths that involve other characters are better than inward-facing ones for this reason. Continuing with the rotation, we will go in the same order that we've been going, and each player will choose choose one of the notables. Then consult the list of oaths and select one. The one thing the notable has sworn they will never do as long as they draw breath. Write this oath down on that notable's position on the sheet. The format is everyone wants unique drive. So in our case, everyone wants indulgence, but I will never blank to get it. Note that you can assign an oath for any notable, including your own. Adding oaths for your characters played by others is more fun and makes for a better story. Surprise them. Continue rotating the colonial notable sheet around the table, with each player writing down a unique I will never oath for a named colonial notable. When every player's 2 characters have oaths, take the sheet back as the host. And then pregame work is nearly over. So, starting with Nick, you can choose any notable. And again, the game encourages us to choose notables that you do not control. So choose any notable and give them an oath. And again, the oaths can be found on pages 108 and 109. I would say, because of what our drive is, avoid oaths under 6 in the self-interest category. It may also help if you're having trouble coming up with a good oath, what feels like a good oath. Go ahead and look. You can look on pages 26 and 27 to see some of the primary questions that you should be thinking about for each character. Does that make sense? So, like, for instance, the Dimmer Dammer. How was your crime? What was your crime and what is your sentence? Who do you trust? How will you maintain control of the criminal masses while gaining control of authority? And so, like, with those questions in mind about like the Dimmer Dammer's drives and the overall drive of indulgence, what could be a good oath for the Dimmer Dammer to take? You probably won't want to do an oath for the Dimmer Dammer because that's your character, but you get me. I think you are muted again, my friend.
I will never deny or abandon my faith. Or I'm going to say the judge advocate.
Nice.
I like that. Chat, we have entered religion. And that's under honor? No. Where
That
is
is
it under?
that was under betrayal.
Betrayal. Okay. Ooh, I will never deny or abandon my faith. Fun.
All right, Danny.
I was looking at this from the start. I will never abuse my power for the Dimmer Dammer.
Oh,
Interesting.
very interesting. It really makes me. Oh, never mind. I kind of wish we did pick the governor so that we could say like he will abuse his power every single chance.
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah. All right, for Griff, I'm going to go ahead and say that I will never take charity from anyone.
I like it.
I'm sorry, not for Griff, for Leadlung.
Little.
Ah.
I was like, yeah.
Old man with dignity.
Oh, Griff is though. Excuse me.
Rare.
Yeah. No, for our floating characters, I want to do something special. So don't assign.
Okay,
oaths to
cool.
them.
Okay.
Don't touch him.
Don't touch them.
Wait, so what do you choose for Ledlong?
I will never take charity from anyone.
Oh, I like that. Like a stubborn old man.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, Nick.
Okay. I sorry, thinking. I will never tolerate incompetence for Rexton Lamond.
For my
My-
wife,
Yes.
Husband, you.
my husband. I'm sorry.
Unbelievable. Look at this guy.
Sorry, you're my husband, but I call you my wife.
Through millennia, Borat persists.
Borat
That's
is
the judge
universal.
advocate's faith.
That's Boratism. It was all that was recovered of our destroyed society.
Very nice.
Sounds like a sequel to Idiocracy. Is that the name of the movie? It's a ridiculous movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it?
Never tolerate incompetence.
Was that you, Nick, that just selected that?
Yeah.
Okay, Danny, go ahead and
Okay.
so you can choose between V or Stevie Nickens.
Well, if we don't want Johnny to have to pick one for his character, you'd
True.
probably have to do V.
I'll do Stevie Nick or
You'd have to
V,
do Johnny.
I
so
was
that
already
he-
I was already thinking of choosing one for Captain Sharp anyways, so it works out.
Okay. Yeah.
I like so Captain Sharp is essentially like one of the people who works closely with the Dimmer Damber. Yeah.
Yeah, she is the Dimmer Dammer's right hand and like
Right
chief
hand.
muscle.
Mhm. So I like, in contrast to the Dimmer Dambers, I will never abuse my power. I like giving V the oath of I will never show a weaker man mercy or weaker person mercy.
Ooh, I like that. That's tough.
I think, yeah. So I'm just gonna do that. Ooh, what did I just do? Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought I just deleted everything, but that was only on my end. Stevie Nickens. I love that name so much.
Yeah.
I changed his gender, so she Stevie Nickens.
She's Stevie Nickens.
Stevie Nicks.
Oh, that makes so much
I
sense.
just realized how close it was, and I just
Wait.
went for it.
I thought it was like Steve and Nick.
That's what I thought initially too.
That is what it was. That's what it started as, and then I was like, wait a second.
Wait, it's
That's
so
funny.
close to Stevie Nicks. Instead of Steven Nickens.
But it's not.
Change
Stevie Nickens.
change the judge advocate to Justin Danielson.
Justin Danielson.
No. But I think that Stevie Nickens will never break a promise.
Ooh, nice.
Oh. Aww. I don't know why that was my reaction. I was like, oh, Stevie, so cute.
No, and I also like I'm looking at like the list of oaths, and I'm sort of like I like the idea that Stevie Nickens might end up being the only person on this board with a shred of real honor.
Yeah, like she honors her word,
Mm-hmm.
and like I like that.
And like won't like I imagine that Xavier would abandon his word if he felt like it aligned with his faith to do so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm already thinking about what Xavier's faith even is, and I'm imagining
Yeah.
it's pretty fucked up, you know?
Yeah. Okay, Nick,
Yes.
roll 1d6 for me.
Okay. Any of them? It doesn't. I'm just rolling.
Yeah, we're gonna do. This is gonna be. We're gonna go a few layers deep here. So roll a d6 and just tell me if it's odd or even.
Ain't on the desk. God. It's odd.
It's odd. Okay, roll another d6. What number?
Just
is it?
if it's odd or even.
Nope,
It's
that's not
5.
It's 5. Okay, and then one more time.
1.
Okay, so our Emancipist, the floating authority character Joan Hacks, which makes me think of Jonah Hex, which was a terrible movie. Their oath is, "I will never let honor interfere with personal gain."
Ah, I see what you did there.
Yep. Now, Danny, I want you to go ahead and roll 1d6.
Let me tell us if it's odd or even.
Nope, doesn't matter if it's odd or even.
just
This time
the
it's just the number.
Oh, cool. 3.
All right, roll again.
I'm rolling a different die this time. 2.
Okay, give me 1 second here. So for Griff, our bolter smuggler, I will never see goodness or value in any of this.
Jeez.
Nice.
Get a grip, Griff. Am I right?
Get a grip.
Get a Griff.
All right, let's
Griff
see.
is a little sad.
They're fine.
They're fine. They're fine.
I mean, they're sad, but they're fine.
They're sad. But they're fine.
Griff is a drama queen. Anyway.
I'm so
All
excited
right.
to play this.
Me
Now that
too.
we've made all these characters.
Okay, now we have our characters. And so do we have okay. One more thing we need to do is actually just looking at the rules here. We need to actually fill in for the governor and we need to fill in the last 2 positions. I thought that we could stop with just the 2, but the rules say to do everybody.
Oh, nice.
So I think we're gonna do it the same way. We're gonna do it real random like. But I'll have you guys kind of do this again because I like type things. So for the governor, I think this time it'll be Danny because you did the authority character on the last round, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
So Danny, go ahead and roll 2d6.
Okay. 3 and sorry. I rolled the same result as last time, so I just rerolled. Okay, 3 and 5.
Okay, I will never ask for mercy. All right.
Oh,
And we need to name the governor.
What's like a name that you hear that you're just like, ugh, that guy.
Well, is the governor roll a die? Roll another dice, Danny. Odds the governor's male. Evens their female. Even. All right. So go ahead and roll 2d6 again.
3 and 4.
Okay. So her first name is Durance.
Ooh.
And roll 2 more d6.
1 and 3.
All right. Durance Pill.
I like that.
That's the governor. All right.
Drusane.
And then Nick
Did you say Gill or Grill?
Pill.
Hill.
Drusane Pill.
Just completely wrong.
Yeah. It is on the document as well.
What?
I made
On the
spots
spots if
for
you
them.
scroll all the way down.
Yep.
Oh.
Okay. And then we have
I was adding it to the notes page.
we just need a lag/sable. So lags and sables are like thieves, con artists, prostitutes, robbers, that sort of a thing. So Nick, I'm gonna have you go ahead and roll. So the lag and sable rolls within the book are gendered. So you're gonna roll a d6, odd or even. If it's odd, they're gonna be a male lag. If it's even, they're gonna be a female sable.
Even.
Even. All right, it's a female sable. Go ahead and roll 2d6.
2, 5.
Okay. 2, 5.
I will never kill
Yes.
a man.
Well, actually, we're naming her first this time.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Nice.
So her first name is Chara, and roll 2 more
Good.
d6 for me.
Kill a man.
Okay. Uh, 3, 4.
Chara Bolton.
Wait, we already have that one. I will never take charity from anyone. So I'll just...
That's okay. That was her
Oh, that was
surname.
her last name. That was her last name.
Oh,
Horrible.
I thought that's how we were wrong. Both
I'm
times.
sorry.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
you're good. You're good.
I shouldn't keep jumping ahead. I should just chill out.
Okay. I'm just going to give her a random number. And then her oath. Now roll 2d6 for her oath.
Uh, 2, 4.
2, 4. I will never show a weaker man mercy. That we already
Definitely
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already have this one. Oh, man.
But we
Okay, here
could
we
just flip it, or you could roll again.
6-3.
6-3?
6.
Okay. I will never place my own safety over the people's freedom.
Wow.
Huh. Oh, wow. So
good
far,
person.
I'm taking
Weird.
the convicts. You know, between the Dimmer Damber and Miss Bolton.
And honestly, Ledlung.
And let
Got
alone
some pride,
just,
some dignity.
yeah.
Like that.
Also,
And
at
Griff,
first,
no, they're just sad. that's it. They're not bad.
At first, I didn't like the oath that we ended up rolling for the governor, but now I'm looking at it and it's kind of like I can see ways that we can play that. That can be very interesting. And so I'm like, okay, cool, I'm fine with
Hey
it.
man,
Yeah.
there are hostile aliens on this planet,
Yeah.
and this colony's not doing so well. Some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
All right, guys. So we have now filled in the names of all of our colonial notables. Now we've taken a moment, we've described. Let's actually, what we're gonna do is I think this is what we're gonna do. There's one more step for wrapping up the creation before we sit down to play. But there's the potential for this step to take us a beat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call it early. We're gonna call this episode a little bit early. We're gonna take a 15-minute break. Okay, so we're gonna be back at the 16 mark. So if you're on Twitch or YouTube with us, we'll be back at 12:16 EST. And then when we come back, we'll play to our normal end time, and we should be able to get into some actual RP. Sound good?
Heck yeah.
And
All right. If you guys are listening with us on audio, we're so glad that you're here with us. And we will see you again next week for some actual RP.
we're just
Right.
really
Bye.
teasing them, you know.
Yeah. We're just edging this episode.
See ya.
All right. We'll be back.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Welcome back. If you are with us live, welcome back from the break. Hope you had a good short little break there. If you're with us on audio, Hey, it's been a week. We missed you. How are you? Anyways,
I was
I'm
waiting.
assuming that they said good.
oh, certainly. Yeah. So here's a question for you guys. We're playing in this world set in a penal colony, with these characters on either side of the law. If you got sent to a penal colony, if you lived in this world, why would you be there? Whether you're a convict or part of the authority, why would you end up as yourself, as Nick, as Danny, as Johnny? Why did we end up on this penal colony?
Political dissidents.
That tracks.
That's it.
It's funny because last episode, which would have been like earlier today, I just talked about how I just watched Mickey 17. And I hope it wouldn't get to a point where I would sign up to be on this horrible planet. But what would I have done? I'm like scared of committing crimes. What would I have done? It'd probably be something like dumb and on accident, you know?
Accidentally commits capital murder.
Yeah, right. Like,
Like the worst crimes that most of the convicts have is, or like before coming here, I think is like manslaughter and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't think there are any
Yeah.
straight up murderers.
There are
Or-
some, but
Okay.
or I like to imagine that in this fictional society that we live in, that like if you like do something, like if like you're not able to pay off like credit debts, that you would get sent to a penal colony, like something like that as well. So I feel like
like indentured.
maybe yeah. Mhm.
Well, so it is established in this world, and we didn't talk about it in the last episode, but the convicts are used as slave labor,
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
which is not altogether different from America 2025, but
Not different at all.
no, not different at all. Well, a little bit different because they're not.
They're, like, leased out.
They're not like in this world they're like leased out.
Yeah.
No.
Which
So I
is
guess
how
for
it
my
used to
answer,
work.
then,
For prisons. Anyways, moving on.
yeah. So I guess for my answer, then it'd probably be something like accidentally missing jury duty, or like forgetting to pay something off, and like next thing you know, I'm in a penal colony.
I haven't seen Danny in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, huh.
Oh yeah, no, I think he
Hey.
got sent to Twins World.
Oh, that's rough.
That's rough.
No, I think that it is very easy for me to imagine a world where I would sign up for something like Mickey 17.
Yeah. Oh no.
I still haven't seen the movie, but I understand the preference.
I liked it. I
probably
really
would
liked
too.
it. I'm
You
pretty sure
basically-
it got mixed reviews, but I liked it.
It got mixed reviews, but it was a lot of fun. It was
Mhm.
original premise, really well done.
Mhm.
Like Robert Pattinson is a
So good.
international treasure.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Let's jump back into this penal colony. We have a little bit more to figure out before we're ready to start playing, but we're close. We're so close. So as we kind of get ready to roll into things, we've built our characters, we've figured out what their oaths are, we understand at least a little bit their motivations, and we have some idea of what the of what this colony and what this planet are like. But
Mhm.
let's finish by just let's wind down from that setup and wrap things up by just really drilling down into what this world is like. So we're going to take a moment to collectively explore and describe the planet, the colony, and the relationships between these notables.
Should we sum up the notables real quick for those who are joining us a
Yeah.
week later?
Yeah, actually, if you haven't been with us in a week, you may have forgotten. So we have 5 characters on each side of the law. We have 5 convicts. We have 5 authority figures, each of them at different levels of power. Starting from most powerful to least powerful. I'll go on the authority side, and then we'll do the convict side. So, or we'll alternate so that we know who's at the same level as each other. So at the top of the ladder, we have Drusain Pill, her. She's the governor. Her oath is to never ask for mercy. So she runs the colony. She is in charge of things being what they're supposed to be according to authority on Twins World. Across the bridge, the metaphorical bridge from the governor is the Dimmer Dammer, the crime lord, Otto, they, them. They're a prisoner who has vowed to never abuse their power, which is very interesting. Next, going down the ladder, is the right hand, the keeper of the law in this colony. We have one of the Dimmer Dammer, by the way, is one of Nick's characters. The governor is a floating character. No one is specifically in charge of the governor. But in this colony called Burkestown, the next in line in authority is one of Danny's characters, Xavier Lyman, the functionary, and they are the judge advocate. So they are in charge of keeping law and order in the colony. And their vow is to never deny or abandon their faith. Directly across from them, in the convict side of things, is one of my characters, V. Alban, she, her. She's a minion, the right hand of the Dimmer Dammer, the crime lord, known as Captain Sharp. And she's kind of the muscle enforcer type person. And her oath is, I will never show a weaker person mercy. Next down the ladder is another one of my characters, actually, on the authority side, is Rexton Lyman, the spouse of the judge advocate, Danny's character. And he's a free colonist. His oath is, I will never tolerate incompetence. Directly across from him is on the convict side of things is the bolter. And they were a smuggler. This is a floating character named Griff, they, them, whose oath is that I will never see goodness or value in any of this. Back on the authority side, the next character is one of Nick's. They are a Marine, she, her, named Stevie Nickens. They're a Marine corporal. And her oath is that I will never break a promise. Directly across from her is another floating character, the Sable, Shara Bolton, she, her. She's a convict, and her oath is that I will never place my own safety over the people's freedom. And then last in line on either side, starting with the authority side of things, is the Emancipist, another floating character, Joan Hacks, whose oath is I will never let honor interfere with personal gain. And then directly across from her is the crawler, the outcast crawler, Leadlung, who's one of Danny's characters, and I will never take charity from anyone, is their oath. All right. All of that in mind. That was a lot. But
yeah, lots of interesting characters.
Yeah, we are playing. This colony exists on a mostly hostile planet. The climate is mild, the hydrology is favorable, the geology is stable, but the atmosphere is dense. There is hostile, intelligent life, and the biology of the planet is not kind to humanity. The colony itself is high density, uneven distribution of justice. Workers are unmotivated. It is prosperous, order is well established, and the planning is meticulous, but it is a hard place to live. And so with all of that, let's talk a little bit more about what this planet is like, what this colony is like, and specifically the relationships between these characters.
Let's do it.
So I think one of the most interesting questions, and the game establishes that the these different sides of society sort of hold each other up, that this particular society, this colony, would unravel if one side or the other were to fall apart. And so with that in mind, what do we think the sort of, for lack of a better term, working relationship between the governor and the Dimmer Dammer looks like? Do they have regular meetings?
Yes,
I think I like that.
because it goes with like the orderly, like well planned
Mm-hmm.
like system of the colony.
Mhm. Do you mind taking notes in our note sheet
Oh,
about
yeah.
this stuff, Nick?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No, I absolutely do not mind.
Mhm.
Okay.
I realized that I had given the wrong negative.
Yeah. What do you think about this, Danny? I was thinking about like the oaths that the Lymans have taken. And I'm wondering if maybe Lyman or Rexton, who won't tolerate incompetence, saw Xavier's potential to become a judge or a high-ranking person within the authority, and basically maybe from Xavier's standpoint, it's a marriage of love, and from Rexton's standpoint, it's a marriage of advantage.
I like that so much. I like that.
So
I was thinking about something along the lines of that as well, looking at Rexton's oath.
so
And
Rexton got Xavier into the position that he's in.
Not necessarily, but he helped drive him.
Ah,
Mhm. I like that.
And
I can see Rexton like using Xavier's devoutness to his faith in that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think outside of the governor, we don't need to worry overly much about the floating characters and their relationships to the other notables. We can focus on the notables that we are going to be piloting for now. Does Ledlung have a particular relationship to anybody else on the board, or what is his relationship to society in general?
Oh no! So as a crawler, crawlers are kind of universally like disrespected, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe. Sorry, trying to think.
could he be like sometimes they're assistants to free colonists, right? Or slaves to free colonists, right?
Mhm.
So he could be like essentially like the butler of Rexton and Xavier's house, or he could be like a very incapable squire to Stevie Nickens.
What if what if we made a relationship that had to do with a relationship between Ledlong and Xavier that had to do with Xavier's faith? What if like Ledlong was some form of like was looked at from people who practice Xavier's faith as some form of like what's the word, like oracle or something? And that's
what if it was like a vehicle for like his body's like a vehicle for rituals, like he's at like the center of the. He's not like performing them, but he's like they happen like through him, you know. And so in that way, he's like he's still like objective. I don't. It would. You don't want to like give him like power over Xavier.
That's the thing. Like I think
you do want to give him power over Xavier.
No, I don't. I think Ledlong is like he's like a what's the word? He's like what am I thinking of? He's like a dishonored like practitioner of the faith.
Oh, like a excommunicated person?
Yeah. I think I like that. And so Xavier, maybe to the encouragement of Rexton, still meets with Ledlong because he thinks that
you can save him.
Or no, he thinks that like I'm sorry, I'm blanking here.
If Ledlong is like excommunicata, wouldn't I feel like Xavier would avoid meeting with him
Yeah.
if his oath is to not deny or
Yeah,
abandon his
but
faith.
I'm trying to. I think Xavier looks at Ledlong as like, oh, like he's like the only like priest who like got it though. You know?
Hmm.
What do you think of that?
Seems peculiar to me with all of the
Yeah.
factors at play.
It doesn't quite
Yeah,
track.
yeah. Alright, that's
You
fine
could
then.
say Ledlong like was Xavier's like priest, maybe in childhood or something.
What if Ledlong is just a slave? What if he's
Yeah,
just
just
a
a
household slave? He doesn't. I think also because of like the nature of the latter, I don't think it's a good idea right now to put Ledlong in a position where he could exercise any sort of power over
Mhm.
Xavier.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to avoid as well. Yeah. Okay.
It's always like it's also why I liked him as like a ritual implement because then he's more of like an object, Xavier, than
Yeah.
anything that can exercise power, but also just works as a slave.
I think I'm fine with him just being a slave.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm fine
I'm
with that.
totally cool with slavery.
Fine
Yeah,
with him just being a slave.
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Jesus Christ.
Thanks for saying that, Danny.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Can I clip that out?
Yeah. What about Stevie Nickens?
Oh boy. Hmm. I think V is Stevie's ex,
Okay.
and like broke it off after what V did whatever she did to get arrested and eventually sent here, but also was a Marine that whole time, ended up choosing to come here. And so now there's like a weird power dynamic where V has more power and probably can bully Stevie around. And they also have like a history and rapport. So there's like added emotional conflict there.
Hmm. I like that. And then what do you think? I think this maybe the last one we'll drill in on. What do you think V and Otto's relationship looks like?
V and Otto. I think it's very much like an almost honorable king of thieves type deal for Otto, where he's like mostly trying to like keep everything in line, keep everything as fair as he can in like the hierarchy of things, as far as he has control to do so.
Mhm.
But then V is like this like overly zealous, very, very like strictly loyal, I think, to Otto, but like really just like Otto is too good and doesn't know like what has to be done, and will and consistently like sneaks in her own like much harder hand on a heavier hand on things.
Let's drill down on that bit because I'm a little bit confused how Otto got to the position of Dimmer Dammer, if that stuff is true of him.
That he is like trying to
That he
make
doesn't
everything as
know
fair.
that he doesn't know what to do and like isn't having.
No, I don't think it's true. I think that like he's like go take care of this, and he means like sort it out, and doesn't necessarily mean like kill everyone involved or beat the shit out of this guy until he agrees with you. But she just like does that. That's what I meant. Like she just brings more brutality and violence to whatever she ends up doing for him than I think he really intends or expects. But Can't
Gotcha.
argue with results.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think he's like, I'm not trying to say that he is like naive in any way. He knows when he needs to have a heavy hand, but then she kind of takes it further.
Yeah.
Maybe V sometimes like thinks that of Otto, but
yes.
he's for a reason.
I was gonna say I don't think V is stupid, but I don't think V thinks. I think V sees
classic.
herself like a gun. Otto aims and pulls the trigger, and she just rips through whatever's in the way.
Yep. And she's too effective for Otto to grab a different gun. So sometimes you just use the guns you have, you know?
And I think maybe there was a time, and actually maybe this is related to, and we can explore this later. Maybe this is related to why she is a convict in the first place, but maybe she stopped making decisions because of whatever it was that landed her on this side of the ladder. And once upon a time, she did exercise more agency, but now she just, it's like checked out of her own life in a certain way. Got a little gnat that keeps flying at my face and it's driving me nuts. Anyways, cool. I think that is a great jumping off point. Just to go ahead and start playing some scenes. What do you guys think?
Hell yeah.
Let's go for it.
All right, so I get to go first. I get to go first as the guide, which means that you guys get to go first acting out a scene. So I'll read out kind of how this goes so that we are all clear. So starting with yourself as the host, me, and rotating clockwise, each player will take a turn. In turn will be the guide of a scene. You get to guide first because you probably blah, 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 blah. As you guide, your job is to shine a spotlight on some interesting notables, oaths, and circumstances in the colony and ask a question about them. You should be curious about what is going to happen and be able to say the question out loud. As an example, I wonder if the governor has the stones to put the Dimmer Dammer on trial, having sworn never to betray him, things like that. Note that it isn't your job to say what is happening in the scene, which characters are there, or how it will turn out. It's tempting, but don't do it. All of this is up to the other players who will put together the scene that can answer your question. Feel free to be bold and aggressive in crafting your questions. You can establish facts in your questions, but don't contradict existing ones. It's good form to ask questions about characters other than your own, but this rule is not absolute. Cool.
Just a quick lesson on yes-anding.
A little bit, yeah. But we all feel good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me take a look here. There are a couple of questions. There's a couple directions I think things could go that I'm really curious about. And I want to make sure I ask questions that don't necessarily involve my characters.
Ask a question that only involves Rexton and V.
No, I think just Rexton. How would Rexton and V get along in this particular situation? No, I would love a scene where we discover why has the Dimmer Dammer vowed never to abuse their power, and what does it look like to him to them to rein their power in and not abuse it?
So wait, sorry.
So now you get to set up, you set a scene. You get to decide what characters are in the scene and who. If you want to use a floating character, that's totally fine. You can choose, preferably Danny, but you can choose who's going to play that character. And this is the opening scene. You're kind of setting the lore, but we're finding out like why is the Dimmer Dammer beholden to this oath, and how what does it look like for them to keep it?
As a suggestion, something not to
No,
force
please do.
like in any position, but it might be good to portray a scene that has at least obviously Otto, because that's the question was asked about Otto, but that also includes Ledlong being like in like the lowest possible rung of society. And we can see like how like Otto interacts with someone like that and shows that. I don't know further details of that, but
So your exact question. Sorry, I've been trying to like keep up with notes, and so
Sure, I'm sorry.
I'm a little bit behind. Why? Your question was why is the Dimmer Dammer holding to his oath, and what does it look like for him to uphold it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, Danny, you were thinking you'd go with Ledlong?
yeah, I mean ultimately I think you can, since you're the one asked the question, you can sort of
Yeah.
at the scene.
Because I didn't ask a
You-
question about multiple characters. I just asked a question about the Dimmer Dammer. You could do a solo scene if you want to, or you can invite any other character you choose into the scene with you. Preferably not one of mine, but that's up to you.
Because we'll be able to get because all of us are going to get a chance of being the guide, right?
Right.
So we
And
can
it's
all
not
kind of-
always possible with a game of 3 people to avoid having the guide in a scene, but the best practice is to not include the guide.
No, that's fair. I think that's fine. Yeah, let's so you go with.
And again, it can be a third person like descriptive scene if that's what you want to do as well. It doesn't have to be a scene that involves RP with another person.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we'd come to a scene of Otto at his desk. I think it's high up in the city. Basically where that sort of like secret, not so secret place for
the club.
The club is. You could probably hear like music like muffled coming from outside of his office.
Does Otto secretly own that club, even though it's for authority people?
Yes, I think that's
like
that's
that.
how that works out. I mean, maybe V is like sitting in the opposite corner or something. I don't think she's part of this scene, but it makes sense for her to be there. Yeah, I think Ledlong, hobbles in after being allowed in, probably by some like bouncer called in by a secretary or something like that. Probably with some sort of grievance. You want to come up with that, Danny?
Otto?
Yes, Ledlong. What did you need?
Ledlong looks at V with sort of like a sneer, and he looks back at Otto.
I wouldn't do that.
You need to keep your dogs on a tighter leash, Otto.
What do you mean?
I've always respected you and yours. I know I'm not in a position to ask for the same of mine and ours, but at least respect life in general. And waking up, seeing. Do we think, sorry, out of game, do we think that this colony calls Ledlong's rank crawlers just to make things easy?
Yeah, just go for it.
Yeah. So Ledlong goes, seeing other crawlers lying on the street dead, just like meat. It's not a good look, Otto.
It isn't. And he looks at V. But then he looks back at you. However, if you think that happened purely because of forces I control, you are incorrect. I don't look upon the bodies of my fellow convicts with any less sadness and distaste than you. However, there would be much more bodies if I was not working to keep it from being that way. And occasionally, we fail. Or people get caught in the crossfire. I have the tools. I only have the tools that are available to me. And I am only able to do so much.
Ledlong still very distraught. Was very distraught this entire time, even walking in. And also I kind of want to describe Ledlong as well. He's
Please do.
obviously an old man. He looks you know how if you've watched Arcane, you know, people who've been on what's called Shimmer for a long time, kind of like that, just like old, distraught, skin is like wrinkly. I think he has one of those big clunky breathing apparatuses that he speaks through, and it's kind of like nasty. Like it's at a point where like it almost seems like his like skin has like partially grown onto it, like the tank that he wears on his back and around his mouth, and like basically it's like permanently a part of him now. And so that's who we see as Ledlong, and he looks down and he goes, "I don't doubt your benevolence, Otto. Or your wisdom. I just hope you're able to keep that consistent through those in your ranks as well. I'm not asking for any more than I have before. Just for respect of the living. As who knows how long they will be."
At this point, Otto stands behind their desk, puts their hands on it, sort of leans forward. Not threateningly, but just to sort of add weight to what they're going to say. And I should also describe Otto. They're sort of like a very like almost gangly person. They have long limbs, very thin, not gaunt by any means, but just like very clearly very tall, dark skinned, like shaven head, very large, like earrings that seem to be some sort of like symbol in silver, and sort of like some shimmery like eye makeup. And so they lean forward and say, "Ledlong, I appreciate your experience and how you always speak your mind. I do have to say, and you've said it first, it is not your place, and it has never been, and you do this anyways, and I allow it. So I suppose it's on me. However, I don't think you need to worry about my benevolence. It isn't benevolence. The way to keep this whole thing running as efficiently as possible is for every convict to feel supported, at least to some extent, by me and the system that I provide. And the only way to do that is for everyone to think that it's fair in some way. Not that it's fair in every way, not that it is completely fair or equal, just that there is a system of rules and they are followed. They may not always be fair, they may provide more for some, but as long as they are consistent, that's all that matters. And I will keep things consistent. Or it's my ass. Now, if you don't get out of here, it'll be yours. And they sit back down.
And Otto or Ledlung stumbles out of Otto's office.
And don't forget to send me a report on what the Lymans are up to.
Okay. Whatever. Fine. Sorry. Goodbye.
Otto they just close their eyes pretty forcefully for a second after he.
I think a part of what got Ledlung into the position he's in is through his age, he started becoming more stubborn, and he starts caring less about what he says, but he forgets that he should care about what he says in lots of instances, in lots of situations, and that's probably got him in a lot of.
It's also a brutally honest nature that is probably pretty useful for Otto, because people would expect him to not really be hiding anything because he clearly doesn't give a shit. So
he doesn't give a rat's ass. Yeah.
So yeah, getting some reports on the judge advocate it's pretty valuable. So
yeah.
Did that answer your question? Why is the Darren beholden to his oath? Or, well, their oath.
Yeah, I feel like I have a clearer picture of. I feel like I have a clear picture of the second part of the question, but not necessarily the first.
Yeah, my goal there was it's as self-serving as it can be. And there might be more to that, but it's the idea that if even for an authoritarian or a monarch, if you do a really, really bad job and things really fall apart, then they're going to kill you. Somebody's going to replace you. And the more educated your society is, the more likely that is to happen, or the lower that bar is. But that's all I was really
okay
for. And there could be more to it, but
I think that's good.
That answer. Okay.
Yeah. So now that scene is done, it's your turn, Nick. You're gonna pick characters that you want to see drilled down on, and you're gonna ask a question, and whoever is appropriate will play out a scene.
Cool.
And if you feel like there's uncertainty at the end, we might roll.
I so want to see the Lymans interact with each other. I don't even know what do I want from it. I just kind of want to see. I want to see their dynamic, but I want to see. I guess for a more specific question, I want to see how Xavier pursues his faith in the context of his as he's judge advocate, but does he go to church after work, or and how does that work with his relationship with Rexton? Is Rexton attending, or always not there, and what is Rexton doing when he's not there? I don't know if that's too many questions, but
That's great.
I leave it to you.
I like it.
I think that the scene opens with Rexton walking into their bedroom while Xavier is getting ready in the morning, and Rexton is holding a suit that by almost any standard looks perfectly pressed and truly pristine. But he holds out the sleeve to Xavier and goes, "Do you see this wrinkle? I fired that incompetent maid. Do you see this? I asked for this to be perfectly pressed. And yet, I get this? Ridiculous. You can't wear this today." And he tosses it into a pile.
Xavier, I think we see Xavier look kind of get a little stressed and anxious at this, but there are matters at hand. He has to get ready for work. He goes, if you think that they should have been fired, then I respect that. Rexton, could you help me with my tie?
Of course. I don't understand how you never learned how to do this properly. He just kind of aggressively
Yeah, and I think
redoing your tie.
and in response to that, there's like a Rex Xavier chuckles, but there's like a little bit of like nervousness in there. Just sort of like throws that comment by the wayside. What are your plans while I'm at work? Are you going to come to church with me afterwards this time?
How many times have we talked about that, Xavier? The judge shouldn't say
So
again. There, your tie is done. That priest hasn't given a worthwhile homily the entire time we've been on this wretched planet. Maybe I'll come if a new one arrives. Is there a new one arriving?
There's no word of that, but you can understand, Rexton, how it looks for the judge advocate to show up to service day after day without his partner. What kind of image that could put on us?
You can just tell people I'm busy running the affairs of the house. If it's really that important to you, I'll come. Today.
It is. It's very important to me. But if you feel you have other things to get to, I understand. We each have our own roles, not just between us, but in the colony. So I'll respect your wish regardless, Rexton.
I will come.
All right.
Because I care
Thank
for
you.
you more than I don't care for that priest.
And maybe I could see about maybe the priest can get a new job. Maybe there's another colony whose church we can send him to. I can see about that.
You could do that for me?
Of course, Rexton.
I so love you. Thank you, darling. I need to go and change if I'm going to go to church. I can't go out looking like this. And he's wearing just like a perfectly fashionable, like put together outfit. Would have like most people would do anything to be in the type of outfit that he's wearing, but it's not enough for him. And so he goes into their closet and begins changing, and you hear him kind of shouting from the closet. I did notice there was an area of the rug that wasn't perfectly vacuumed yesterday. I might be firing that what do they call him? Lead lung fellow?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I didn't even realize that we still have him as a cleaner. That's fine if that's what you wish,
He
darling.
pops his head out of the closet. What do you mean you didn't realize you were talking to him yesterday?
Oh, that's Ledlow. Oh. He seems fine for the most
Odd?
part. You said he odd, yes. but-
Uncomfortable? Old?
Yes, he is old, but
I did just
whatever
fire
you
him.
wish, darling. Yes.
No, if we'll keep him on for now.
Okay. I think we see a moment while Rexton is away, like in a different room getting ready. We see a moment where like I think Xavier's like attempting to like put like a pin on the side of his suit because he like as a judge advocate he has to wear these certain pins, but he's having trouble like putting one on, and he thinks about like calling out to Rexton for help, and he stops himself and just puts it in his pocket because he doesn't even want to. He thinks he's already shown enough. Like he's already embarrassed himself enough today in front of Rexton, and he doesn't. He doesn't want to anymore.
Rexton comes out and like looks at your outfit and like kind of like adjusts your lapels, and then gives you kind of like a quizzical look and like reaches into the pocket and looks at the pin and just smirks and puts it on, like pats your chest.
Forgot that was there. Thank you.
And you could tell he wants to say more,
Yeah.
but he just says, "Of course." and like leans in to give you a kiss. Mhm.
Xavier accepts and he goes, "All right, off to work. I will see you at church."
Suppose you will. I have to take care of this disaster of a house first. Hire a new maid. I'll be there.
All right. And yeah, Xavier, I imagine he has like a briefcase that he grabs and gets ready for work and leaves. I think every morning getting ready for work for Xavier is like the stressful workday starts there. Getting ready with Rexton, he's like, what am I gonna say that's gonna like disappoint him? What am I gonna, did I do anything the previous day that's gonna get brought up that I didn't realize I did wrong? I was thinking in my head, I never brought it up. I was thinking maybe even Xavier decided to vacuum the rug himself while Rexton was gone, and he was the one who left that mark on it. But he's like, all right, God, Ledlong's getting blamed for that.
Oh, that was horrible, but definitely answered my question. Danny, now what do you want from us?
Yeah, I would very much like a scene portraying the tension that still exists between V and Stevie. Them being exes. I think that's all I'm gonna ask for. I feel like that's enough for you guys to work with, right?
Yeah, I mean, it totally can be.
Yeah.
I think, if you don't, do you mind if I start the
No, go for it.
I think there's a bar, not like the upper bar, but like at ground level, there's a bar that is frequented by Marines, and a handful of convicts will come in here as well. And we see this bar is like relatively busy. It's smoky. It's dingy. And we see V sitting at the actual bar, kind of like nursing like a tumbler. Might be whiskey, might be something else in there. But V is like, imagine Sarah Connor in T2, like not necessarily the most physically imposing, but very clearly a badass who is extremely capable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Stevie has a very similar energy. She's sitting like, she has full view of the bar. It's probably like behind and to the right or left of V. I think she's kind of like a bulky for like a feminine presenting person, but so in that way maybe like more physically imposing. But right now she's like, there's like several empty cups at her table. She is sitting alone. And like she is clearly just facing V at the bar, and like looking at her drink, and then like looking at V, and then like just face in drink whenever she can.
I think, you know how like some bars have like the mirrors behind all of like the drinks, where like the drink shelves have the mirrors. I think like this place is like dingy enough that it's sometimes hard to tell that there are mirrors there. And so maybe Stevie doesn't realize that V is watching her watch her.
Nice.
And so at a certain point, V kind of like turns her head just barely over her shoulder. So you're just gonna watch me all night?
I was honestly thinking I'd have a couple more drinks, yeah, and then
You can
Head out.
buy me one, or you can head out now. Maybe those are the options.
Yeah,
for you
okay.
guys.
All right. Yeah, I'll buy you a drink. She sits next to, but no, she doesn't sit. She like stands next to V, like not choosing not to sit in one of the bar stools, and like orders 2 drinks. She orders like it would be whatever V is drinking, and then orders another drink for herself. She finishes the one she was drinking. She slams it as she's walking over, and then orders another drink. So, what brings you down here?
I'm here almost every night.
Yeah,
Which I know you know.
I meant if there was like a.
I know if I'm killing someone tonight.
I was kind of just going for what you're up to as far as making conversation. I'd rather not know if you're going to kill someone.
I already did.
Okay, all right, that's great. Okay, yeah,
Don't worry, you'll never find the body.
I probably wouldn't have anyways, but I'm glad I won't.
Yeah. You gonna arrest me, officer?
You know I can't. Be wasted everyone's time. And probably just get me killed or something.
But it wasn't a waste of everyone's time when you put me in the situation that got me court-martialed. That was
I
worth it.
didn't do anything. You made your choice.
And you called the brass.
Or I would have been court-martialed too. What? You can't put me into that position.
You knew who I was. Who I am.
I don't know if that's true anymore, or even was true.
And it's my fault that you didn't ask more questions. You didn't look deeper, think harder.
Probably not. No, that was on me. That's fair. But I'm not going to take responsibility for what you've done or what you continue to do. I can't.
So sanctimonious.
Yeah. Whatever. It was nice to see you. And she slams her other drink and then like trips over the bar stool that she didn't sit in and then rights herself and then goes to continue to leave.
Stevie.
What?
You have any connections in the governor's office?
Why?
Never mind. Not important.
I'm sure I'll hear about it later. And turns to leave.
Hot.
Just one of the worst exchanges you could have possibly. You're like, hot, nice, loved it.
Okay.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, I think that definitely answered my question.
Oh, good.
And I like how you added some more threads towards the end there too, Johnny. That was great.
Yeah, I want to find more things for us to pull on. Let's see. Let's see.
Let's see.
No, I think I want to see what it looks like when Stevie is interacting day to day with the people that she encounters around the colony.
Okay.
both convict and authority.
Okay.
All right.
And I think I'd love to see maybe people who aren't necessarily named. Danny, you could feel free. I mean, obviously, Nick, you get to decide, but
Mhm.
depending on what you decide you want this scene to look like, maybe Danny could jump in with some characters who aren't on our character list already.
Yeah.
So I think you get like a hard cut from like Stevie opening the door of the bar to leave to like it's like daylight. She's wearing a mask. There's like two people. It's like there's like a turned over like machine of some kind, like heavy loader or something, and there's just like two legs just like arguing with each other, and just like a tired look on her face, probably hungover, and she's just like, okay, both of you shut up, just stop talking, please. You, what happened?
And this is me.
Yes, it's you.
What happened? Well, this fucking bastard over here just walks into my shop. He thinks he can just grab whatever the fuck he wants. And, I mean, he paid, but not enough. You know, inflation's a thing. And the other guy goes, inflation, I picked up the same shit this morning. And why you're charging me, like, how many credits more for the same thing?
Okay, all right. So first of all, you're not supposed to have your own shop without a permit. So that's already not great.
Right.
That you just
As soon as you say that, the guy who first started talking was like, oh. He starts getting like
So,
nervous, like
not a great opener. I'm gonna be real with you. Why is the heavy loader knocked over though?
The guy who first started talking to sort of like starts whistling and kicking his feet.
Okay, you're going to jail. You're an arrest. And
Or is that really necessary? We can just pick it up. Maybe you can just help us pick it up. Maybe it's fine.
it's a 3-ton heavy loader. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
We're gonna need to get another one.
loader here.
There's also I already called in another one because it's gonna take another one to get this one upright. Just give me your hands.
But in
Give me your
reality,
hands.
oh, God damn it! And the other guy is sort of like just like smirking at him as he's seeing this.
Then I'm gonna like she takes him in, nothing really big. Hard cut to another scene, which is like later in the day. There's like a little girl like on a step, like a stoop, and Stevie is like walking up to her, and so she pulls out as she walks up to her. She hands Stevie pulls out like a little like ration, like set, and like hands it to her and says, "So, this is the most I could find. Sorry, there isn't more. I wish I could find more. I just sorry."
I think the girl will like look around to see if no one's watching, and she sees no one's watching. She'll just grab it and then like give you a hug at like waist level where she stands. But then quickly, like quickly pull away and like stand with her arms crossed, and she just goes, "Thank you, Miss Stevie."
You're welcome. Don't mention it. Oh man.
Or
All
sorry,
right.
Corporal. I don't know what I should call you.
That it was fine. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care. How's your mom?
She's fine. She'll be really very grateful for this. And we're very grateful for you. She's doing fine. Her breathing seems to just keep getting worse and worse, but we're finding things out. Lead Lung's been helping us, so that's been good.
That old
His
man gets
breathing seems
around.
to be great.
Yeah, that's not true.
No,
That's
it's fine.
different. But he's managed to keep kicking.
somehow. But speaking of that, I need to get back to my family. Thank you for this.
You're welcome. You really look like your dad.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I mean, sorry. You probably don't know, but you're just I don't know. You can go ahead. Sorry.
All right. All right. Thank you. I think in response to you saying that, like the girl's expression was like it portrayed like a first confusion, but then like sadness, and then like anxiety. Like, okay, now I want to just leave this conversation. I don't like like the direction it went. But
I think Stevie immediately clocks that and is like, "Oh,
Mhm.
all right," and lets her go.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I think at the end, you get another cut to Stevie going to their bunk, her bunk, and it's just like a auto door opens up. It's like just enough room for like a person to walk forward into the room, and then like a bed, like a cot to the left, and in the back there's like a desk that can be sit at. So just like a real small like military room. And just like sits down on her bed, sits for a second, just kind of like looking off into space, reaches over to the desk and opens a drawer, and then like reaches like sort of against the inside like front face and pulls a small like ring out. It's like an engagement ring.
Oh.
And just ponders that. That's the day in the life of Stevie. Sorry. It would have been cut in a way that it's clear that she left the bar scene with V to go home and look at the ring, just to be clear.
Was the interaction with the little girl, was that in service of a promise that she'd made?
Yes.
Does Stevie make a lot of promises?
She tries not to, but she does.
Yeah. What other kinds of promises has she made?
Yeah, I think it's like a lot of her promises to her are like her paying back something. Like if something is done for her, and then that person reasonably has a need. It's not even that like she has to say like I promise to do this for you, or they ask for something and she promises to fulfill that request. It's like this person did something for me. I need to do something for them. It's almost just like a construct in her own mind. And then she almost always follows through with it.
Yeah.
She always follows through.
I feel like, is there like a fear of like her like failing herself?
Partially.
For her to do this? Yeah.
I think it's like a balance thing. She broke one promise a long time ago, and now doesn't want to break any promises or leave things uneven. Like they were left uneven.
Yeah.
I like that.
I feel like that answers the question I had.
Oh.
So it's your turn.
Oh,
you are the guy.
I'm the guy. He's the guy.
Yeah.
Let's try to let's now that we're starting to see who these characters are, let's try to put them in situations that might conflict with their oaths a little bit more.
Right.
Oh yeah, we haven't rolled dice yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to put V on. I want to see V on a job, and I kind of want to see her post job. Actually, no. Very specifically, I want Ledlung to have seen the like the job, like her like killing or doing whatever.
Yeah, one thing we gotta rein in, and I'm guilty of this too. But as the guide, you ask a question about a specific character.
That's fair.
And then
Okay.
the person you're asking the question about will decide who's in the scene and how that question
Okay.
gets answered.
So there is a witness to one of your more messy jobs as V. How does V react to that? Doesn't have to be Ledlung, obviously.
I do like the idea of it being Ledlung. So Ledlung, I think Ledlung is in maybe like walking home from his a day at the Lyman's working, and comes across an alley and sees V finishing. She was supposed to just rough up a couple of convicts, but Ledlung sees her just straight up killing them. She carries like a number of knives, and like she's got these two really vicious like bird's beak knives that she keeps on her belt, like at her back. And I think Ledlung sees her like finish the last of these thugs with this knife, and then she like looks up and they make eye contact.
Yeah, and Ledlung doesn't even try to like hide the fact that he's seen it. He just sort of stands there and just like looks at her.
You want some?
Oh, I'm not asking for anything, Miss Albin. It's
just V.
Wondering how you'll explain this one away.
I won't.
Now Ledlung is just looking at the dead convict. There's like a tinge of like sadness in his eyes. Why do you feel the need to always take it this far?
If you don't rip out a plant at its roots, it keeps growing and growing and growing. You cut the stem, it grows back. You cut it again, it grows back. You cut it a third time, it grows back. You uproot it, it's gone.
I see. You think you're surrounded by weeds,
What would you call this place?
Tell me, how does one breathe if all the trees are cut down and uprooted? How does a garden flourish if it's barren?
If your garden's full of weeds, you don't have a garden.
I think you're blind to what's a weed and what's a fruit-bearing plant, V.
And I think you're a foolish old man who doesn't recognize when he's looking eye to eye with the pruning shears.
There's like a tinge of fear that comes into Ledlung, which is kind of rare, especially at his old age, but there's a tinge of fear upon hearing that. I think he's caught himself speaking out of hand once again.
I think V sees that fear. And I think like as you're looking at her, there's a switch that goes, like something turns from like a passive disdain to like it goes from feeling like you're face to face with a person, and suddenly it feels like you're face to face with a wolf or a tiger,
like a predator. Yeah. And just instinctually, Ledlung like still looking at V, just takes one step back.
She smirks at that.
No one has to know what I saw, V. I was just walking home.
You know, and you question me, and you question the boss.
I'm just an old man. V, I've been here in this colony for so long. You can understand. It's
Just an old man. An old man who likes to talk. You talk and you talk and you talk. I don't know if I've ever seen you shut up. I'd like to see that.
His raspy breathing through his apparatus like speeds up, and he's just standing there. I think he feels helpless, and he's just sort of standing there, just basically just see what V decides to do.
Yeah. I do feel actually a sense of uncertainty here, and I would like to have Nick roll to see how we should resolve this.
Woo! First roll.
So
well, I guess
you
not a
are going
first roll,
to you are going to pick 2 of the dice and
Savagery.
roll. You want to roll savagery?
I picked. Wait, so
So you're going to pick 2 of the dice, and you're going to roll them, leaving
Okay.
the stat for the other one, and then whatever stat has the
Oh.
highest number at the end is the stat that we resolve the situation with. And if there's a tie, that goes into some other stuff.
So you might want to leave savagery then, if you want,
yeah,
depending on
I do want to.
what outcome you might want to see happen.
Yeah. So roll blue and green for servility and indulgence.
Oh man, I mean, it makes sense that Ledlung would probably be the first character to die.
I wrote 2 4s.
2 4s.
Nice.
Okay. So, let me double check something here real quick.
Because I'm assuming. Well, I guess I shouldn't.
Savagery is still the
Highest.
highest.
But I was
but-
wondering if it like changes after this. I would assume it would.
So it will stay the same until someone chooses to roll that.
Oh,
That's fun. That's fun.
Um, okay, yeah. So we're still gonna resolve it with savagery, but there is gonna be a special event. So it was 4s that you tied on. So Nick, go ahead and roll 1 more d6.
okay.
Should I add a 4 to servility
2.
and indulgence? Wonder-
What was that, Danny?
Should I add?
Oh yeah,
add a 4?
switch those to 4s.
Yeah.
I rolled
2?
a 2. Yes.
Starvation leads to poor decision making. Yeah, I think.
Oh God, V's a cannibal.
No, I don't think V's a cannibal, but I think the way I'm going to interpret this is that there is a level of and I want you guys to help me decide if this strains the bounds of credulity.
Okay.
But we established that V does not make decisions for herself. And so I think that there might be she's starved for autonomy.
Mm.
And I think combined with the having savagery be the highest role here, she sat in a room and didn't move and didn't speak, and was referred to directly by Ledlung in a negative way about being kind of like, these aren't the exact words that Ledlung used, but basically called her a dog that's off leash. And now they're face to face in this situation, and he's all but said the same thing to her face. And I think in this moment, V just sees red.
Hmm.
and she reaches back or behind her back and pulls out. I think she's got this like holster that she keeps at like the direct back of her belt, where she puts these two bird's beak knives in on either side, but then also she keeps like a straight throwing knife that goes down the middle of this like bespoke holster.
Mhm.
And Ledlung sees as V reaches back and pulls out this straight blade, and then with like a flick of the wrist, the blade is sailing towards Ledlung and takes him in the middle of the chest.
Yeah, I think like he starts to turn around, but he's nowhere near fast enough, and for the first time in who knows how long, the incredibly raspy breathing of Ledlung as he just is lying on the ground just slows to a halt.
All right. So, if a notable dies, another reason I did that to be clear in terms of game mechanics is that a reminder that V's oath is to never show a weaker person mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would have had to break her oath to, I think, let Ledlong survive in that particular circumstance. And so if a notable dies, it is entirely acceptable to kill a colonial notable or non-notable as part of a scene. It's also fine with their player's approval to use the death of a character as the background for a question. Player of the dead character, claim a unauthored position on the colonial notable sheet. If there's no open positions, add a new notable on a rung you have not yet had a character occupy. And then player to the left of the dead player's character, author an oath for the new character. So we actually shouldn't have set oaths for the characters, the floating characters.
Oh.
So I'm gonna delete those oaths. And so Danny, I'm gonna just gray out Ledlong.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna make it so like he's dead. So here's what we'll do. We'll fill him in black. We'll make his text that way, just invert basically, so we can still read it if we need to. But now that he's dead, go ahead and pick between Griff and Chara.
Okay. I will pick Griff.
Okay. So go ahead and change where it says floating, change that to Danny's. And I'm going to select a new oath for him. Why can't I find the oaths?
I just realized his number is 420. I love it.
It is indeed.
It's 0420. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was very tempted to make Ledlung's number 0069, but I didn't.
You have more restraint than I do. I almost made Griff's 6969.
It's funny.
Oh my
But I was like, I should chill a little bit.
All right. Interesting. So Griff's oath is I will never step out of line.
Huh. The boulder. That is very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Danny, it is your turn to ask a question.
Yes, it is. With Rexton, I get a sense of like I like a sense of not like a full, maybe not like a distrust, but like a I feel like he like senses like a lack of full capabilities on Xavier's part, you know? And I feel like it seems to me that Rexton likes to like get things done when he's away from Xavier. And I guess I
Mhm.
just want to see what a day looks like for Rexton when Xavier's at work. Like how does Rexton what does Rexton's day look like? You know, while Xavier's gone. How does Rexton get things done? How does Rexton push that authoritative image that he hopes to keep with him and his husband?
Yeah. I think that we just see these vignettes of Rexton going around the colony throughout the day, wearing clothes that make even the governor look dressed poorly. And I don't know if Xavier even realizes that like Rexton has had like not perfect duplicates, like intentionally different pins made. Like you mentioned, like Xavier has to wear these like pins as a sign of office. And Rexton has had like bespoke pins made that like contain Xavier's symbol of office that like also kind of like indicate that he is Xavier's husband. And you see these vignettes of him going around town kind of just demanding things, like purchasing things and haggling on the basis of his husband being the
Judge advocate,
and like vaguely or sometimes directly threatening people with that, and then like going and having you see him having conversations with like Marines about like making sure that there are you know, he'll say things like he saw a convict on their street. I saw a convict on our street, and I'm not entirely sure if he's a slave or if maybe he was casing our home. So I want you to send some extra patrols to our neighborhood, and like that kind of thing. Like very, very Karen behavior, just all over the place. But then also like, trying to not from any sort of beneficence, but nevertheless organizing like galas and charity dinners and things like that as well, that are like might appear and for all intents and purposes are more direct actual work, even though the majority of his days are spent just kind of using his husband's name to get what he wants.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like that definitely answered my question. Rexton reminds me of I don't know if anyone here has ever watched Ginny and Georgia, but it definitely it's there's this relationship between this woman and she marries the mayor, and she has her own like sly methods of like improving upon both her and the mayor's image. Like, oh, let's throw this block party, but there's definitely like she has her own like personal agenda in doing this as well, but also it can help the mayor's image as well, which I'm seeing like parallels with like Rexton and Xavier.
I'm basically just combining a handful of Real Housewives into one person for Rexton.
I love it.
Okay, let's see. I mean, I'm interested now in Griff and Danny's new character. This idea that he'll never step out of line. Yeah, I mean, I wonder. I'm interested in seeing how that idea can come into conflict with multiple sides. Like him being a convict and having a certain level of potential loyalty to the convicts and being beholden to the Dimmer Damber. What does him never stepping out of line look like when he gets an order from the convict side and then is told to stay in line by a Marine? How does he hold that tension of never stepping out of line when maybe the line is not the same on either side?
So I think we Yes, I think we see a scene of a number of convicts, maybe like other vultures, like running through like a dark, rainy alleyway, and they're being chased by a number of Marines. Like we see their flashlights like rapidly like moving around as they're trying to chase these vultures. Because they're bolting. And we cut to a scene of all these convicts being lined up against the wall because they've been caught. And we have Marines pointing guns at them. And I think we see Stevie maybe like emerge from a car because she has been told of this group of convicts who were arrested and they're just sort of being held in an alleyway right now, and among them is Griff. And
Stevie's relatively high ranking too.
And so that's why Stevie would be called to sort of deal with this. And I think they were caught. What were they caught? I think they were caught robbing something. Maybe they were caught like robbing like a shipment to the colony. That was supposed to mainly go to those of authority, those of higher up, but these convicts were tasked probably by Otto to intercept this shipment and disperse it among the convicts. But they were caught, and so I think that's where we'll start the scene. We just among the convicts, Griff is there, and Stevie, you've been called to decide what to do with them. I think you look, I don't know if this is overstepping, but I think you look, and I think two of the convicts, probably in like a struggle of being arrested, two of the convicts have already been shot and killed by some of the Marines before you had come here. It's like you see them lying there, and if like you look at them, some of the Marines will just sort of like nervously like rub their head and just try to hope you won't say anything about it.
What happened here?
They were causing trouble. All right,
they're convicts. That's okay. All right. Hey, she just like, to her, she's just picking out like a convict in random, but she is flagging Griff. What was the plan here? What were you doing?
Griff will look at you, and I think we see some of the other convicts looking at Griff and like, we don't talk to pigs, blah blah blah. But Griff will like, after failing at trying to stop himself, just sort of like, we need food. We intercepted the shipment just to get food.
Okay. I mean, your rations are divided, and you get your rations for working. So, that's whoever you answer to should be passing them out.
Well, what if you're not working? You're just starving. You can't eat.
That is the law of the land. That's how it works. My heart bleeds for you. It really does. But like, you can't just take it. We're not just gonna let you, right?
Yeah, I guess the whole point of this wasn't to get caught. So
Well, you did, and I'm sure you know what comes next.
Griff glances at the two dead convicts. Like he sort of like nervously like gulps. What's that? Was this
Wait,
a firing line?
What? Oh no. Well, it could be. She takes out a knife, like from her back belt, and tosses it, like at the feet of the people, like actually in front of you, but it is like some distance away. And she goes, "Only one has to die."
And she tosses a knife like in front of me as well as the other convicts who are.
Yeah, you responded to her, so she just favors you. It's like closer to you really than any other convict.
Huh.
I mean, I have to assume, unless these guys are like your ride or dies, they're all diving for the knife.
Yeah, I definitely think there's some uncertainty here in how this will play out. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think so.
yeah.
All right.
That's crazy choice, Nick. I love it. That was great.
Fly.
Thank you.
I think it will be interesting to keep indulgence on the board. Roll savagery and servility. I rolled a 5 for servility and a 3 for savagery, so 5 takes it.
So basically whatever Griff decides to do should align mostly with servility.
Yes. You resolve the situation through dominance and obedience. I think in this situation we see Stevie expressing dominance.
Yeah. I think it's we see the moment from Griff's point of view, so it seems a lot more like it seems a lot longer than it actually is. What we probably in like slow motion, we see the knife clatter onto the ground as Griff's eyes like go wide, and he looks to like the other convicts next to him, looks at Stevie, looking at him expectingly, as I think in his mind he stood there for longer than he thought to sort of see if his other fellow convicts would jump for it. But as soon as he sees them jump for it, he just sort of turns around and dives onto the knife because his hands are cuffed behind his back. And I think we just, not like fully describe it, I think we just see a scene of just a brutal scene of Griff still with his hands cuffed, essentially slaughtering all of the convicts with him. I think it probably gets to a point where he loses the knife and he just has to use his teeth, his legs, like his bare hands to like finish like the last one off.
He kills all of them? She just said one has to die.
One has to die?
Yeah, she just said one.
I love the idea that he misunderstood and they all just watch him go.
Oh my god. He won't stop.
Or no, I think okay, let's say okay, like he fucks like all of them up, but he stops after he kills one. Because I imagine they're all gonna fight over it, so he pretty much has to fight all of them. But I think after one dies, there's like a mutual understanding between all the convicts. Like, all right,
I'm gonna add to the brutality of the scene pretty immediately and say, like, the moment like he like fully like gets control of the knife, like each other of the convicts tries to grab a convict, like just like one. Each of them are trying to grab and offer up somebody else.
Oh yeah, or even like some of them are like
to Griff. Yeah.
Or some of them are probably like begging for their life too.
Yeah. Well, the ones who are like being offered up are probably like, not me, kill him.
Yeah. And I think the one that Griff does kill is just it's purely random. It's just a purely random choice. Probably whoever's ends up standing closest to him when he decides to actually do it, and that's when he just ends up killing.
All right. There we go. So, what have we learned? We do things the right way. You get your rations distributed evenly, or you contact the proper people before you do something like this. And in behind her, you see like the other Marines like taking half of the rations and like putting it into like the Marines' cars, and like some of them are pocketing it, and like then the other half is like it's on like a little like hover cart or whatever. It just gets slid out to the remaining like 6 convicts. She's like, and don't forget to give whatever your contribution needs to be to the Dimmer Dammer. And you know, don't get caught again. She and turns leave.
Yeah, and I think as the guards are dispersing and Stevie's leaving, I think the words Stevie said, "We do things the right way," echoes in Griff's head as he just stands over the convict he ended up killing and is looking at him. And yeah, I think that's where that scene will end.
Yeah, it's great.
Man, Griff's a little
Terrible.
pussy. I don't like him.
I don't think I like any of these people.
Yeah,
no,
right?
they're all bad.
Kind of like Ledlong.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh well.
Wow.
Sucks to suck. Nick, your turn.
Sucks to die. Okay.
Although I like how much I don't like any of these characters.
I think that means we did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see more of Xavier, but I'm trying to think about like how that's gonna go. What do I want to see specifically?
I kind of want to see. I like the last scene too. I kind of want to see like stakes being raised. You know.
I think we see a scene of Rexton in his office with the captain, the actual captain, not like the captain of the Marines. The captain is clearly making a plea or like making a push that the governor should be deposed, like replaced. For whatever reason. What is Xavier's response as the judge advocate and the only one who can legally, get rid of the governor?
So there's a captain of Marines coming forward to Xavier,
Like saying like the governor
needing to push Drusain out of office.
Yeah. Saying like she's incompetent, she's not what this colony needs. I don't know that he's even necessary. I don't even want to like frame it as he's like trying to get the job. Just like he's saying that he's making the plea to get rid of her.
I think we see the scene of Xavier talking to this captain, and there's no audio, but we see like him pleading, and we see like this back and forth happening. When we cut to sometime after of Xavier just sitting in his office alone, contemplating this, and he seems like very distraught, with this. And he goes to ring. Oh wait a minute, we should avoid that. I was gonna have him ring Rexton because I feel like Xavier wouldn't feel fit to make a decision like that without Rexton's input,
Wait, why do you have to avoid Rexton?
Oh my god, wait, you
scene.
just asked me that question. Not
yeah,
Johnny.
I asked.
It's
Johnny
just crazy. Wow. Yeah, so Xavier will ring Rexton on their communicator. You're muted, Johnny, sorry.
What's the situation? I got distracted. I'm sorry.
That's all good. So the Marine captain like basically made a plea or gave the position, or made the request of Xavier that he depose Drusane Pill as the governor. He believes her to be unfit. I didn't really specify why, but that case has been made. Danny kind of framed it as that scene has already happened, so we don't have to worry about that Marine captain. But now he's
Are you fine with that? Did you want to see that scene more portrayed?
No, I'm totally fine.
Okay.
I don't care.
But yeah, and yeah, so Xavier rings Rexton on his communicator.
It like rings for a little bit too long. Like you could kind of tell like he's thinking about ignoring it.
Yeah.
And then he picks up. Yes.
Oh yes. Oh, thank you. How's your day?
Busy. What? Is this just for pleasantries? What's going on?
No. What do you think of Drusane?
What do I think of Drusane?
Yeah. How do you think they've been handling things?
I think she's.
How do you think she's been handling things?
I think she's a puppet. I think that crime lord is the one running things. Why? This is an odd phone call.
It's become evident to me that the people aren't looking as kindly upon Miss Pill as they have. And I just wanted to see if you thought there might be a more malleable puppet that could be in office.
First of all, we don't need a puppet. We need someone competent in office.
Yes.
Second of all, you're a judge. I am not. If you feel that Drusane Pill has done something to break a law or prove themselves unfit for the position on the merit of their actions, then do your job.
I mean, that's exactly the thing. They've not broken a law. They've
So what
upheld.
is the discussion here?
I just needed your input. I can just shut down that proposition. Who knows? It could have been out of selfishness. They came forward with some valid points, but I mean,
Valid points and evidence of a crime are not the same thing, dear.
you're right, Rexton. I don't need to abide by the wishes of every single Marine captain that comes to me. I can just think nothing of it.
The captain of the Marines.
Yes.
And are they the one wanting to take power? If the governor is deposed?
It didn't necessarily seem that way, but as I said, he could have presented this to me in the context of selfishness. It wasn't obvious to me. Oh, how I wish that you could just sit with me in my office all day, Rexton. It would make the workdays so much easier.
And I wish I'd married someone with a spine. Here we are.
There's just silence on Xavier's end. All right, I will. You carry on with your day. I apologize for bothering you.
Mushrooms and rice with chicken for dinner. Bye. And then a click.
Xavier will push all of the emotions down once again that he's feeling.
I want to be very clear. I hate playing Rexton.
I know.
You're doing a very good job.
But I love it. I
Yeah,
think
Danny,
Xavier
you
will
said
start-
that Rexon heard silence on the phone line, and I was just like gunshot.
Yeah. But Xavier will start consulting the different tomes of his faith to see. I think he's consulting what his quote unquote Bible has to say about undercutting people who are like of a higher like political power than you, seeing when like he's able to enact his faith that might be like outside of like what's typically expected of like the law or like the political expectations, because I think he's still seriously considering, despite what Rexon said, the things that the Marine captain has said, and is like, perhaps there is someone better than Drusane. I think that's it. I don't think there's any role or anything. I think that's just
I
What'll do
feel
with
like there
that.
is a little bit of ambiguity about
You think
what.
so? Drexen,
Yeah, about when he's
Xavier
I think we
decides
should-
to do.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, you're so right. Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
I just love that I get the roll. All right. What do I
Um,
want to keep? I want to keep in there.
Oh.
I think it's funny that I will never tolerate incompetence, and I've married an incompetent.
I know, right? I mean,
Well-
I don't think Rexon thought that Xavier was gonna be incompetent when he was marrying the judge advocate. You know,
Well,
Yeah.
he married. Remember, we said that
Oh,
he
you're
like,
right,
pushed him into that
yeah.
position. So it's
Yeah.
very possible
after
that he
being
was
married,
like
yeah.
smart and like well achieving in academics. But
mean-
as many people know, once you're out of academics, nothing means anything. And
Yeah.
the
I
real
mean-
life likes to punch you in the face.
I mean, maybe Rexon undertook the oath, "I will never tolerate incompetence," after he married the most incompetent man he knows.
I mean, that is also possible.
Yeah. I think yeah, one might inspire the other.
yeah.
I am going to keep indulgence because I'm hoping that
That's
I can
fun.
keep it. So I'm curious as to what indulgence would even be in this case. That's what I most want to know. Okay, I rolled a 3 for savage or a 4 for savagery and a 3 for civility, and I don't know what it means that two are the same.
That means that we have another roll on the ties event list. So it's
Special
tied
event.
2s or tied 4s.
Yes,
Hang on, but let me
tied
double
4.
check something because there might be an additional thing at issue here. Okay. So it doesn't tell me what to do if the tie is for the highest.
Then I'm going to pick. I am the GM. No,
I am
Keep
the
trying to think.
GM.
Legitimately though, hearing Rexton say that, like if I heard my partner say that to me, that's it, man.
I'd
it
be
quits.
yeah, just or at least just plunged into depression for probably the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
Goddamn.
Oh, dang.
Oh dang. Okay.
Oh, so these ties are for if they're tied for lowest?
No, it's anytime there's a tie.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that he's saying that he's not finding any ruling to like resolve a tie if it's the highest.
Yeah. So what I think we're actually going to do, Nick, is I'm going to have you, because I think this is a more fun and interesting thing, is we're gonna add the. So you're gonna roll 1d6. We're gonna add the event, and then you're gonna roll those dice again.
Oh, that's fun.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You're gonna roll the servility and
Savagery and indulgence.
I gotcha. So for the event, I rolled a 5.
Okay, a terrible truth is revealed. And so that'll think about that, Danny. And now Nick, roll the blue and the red dice again.
No, it's savagery and indulgence. So it's,
Oh, I thought you kept indulgence last time.
I did, but it's the highest.
Right, but you're not rolling the tie, you're
Oh,
re-rolling.
I'm re-rolling. Okay.
All
I
three.
see.
Okay.
Actually, that could be a fun way to resolve it. If they're tied for highest, is just re-roll all 3.
That is kind of fun.
Yeah, do it. Let's do it.
All right, random. Let's do it. Oh,
In the face of
you're not gonna fucking
obfuscation,
believe this.
another tie.
What?
It's another tie of 4s, but let me see if
Is that
it's the highest because my servility die fell. It's the same exact score.
Okay.
Should I just re-roll, or are we doing?
No,
another
we're
event?
we're gonna add events.
Oh, yeah.
Another event?
Yeah.
yeah. Hell yeah.
So roll for that event.
Only I roll like this. 1 this time.
Okay, so death amid bad choices and hasty actions, along with a terrible
Oh, I'm
truth being
cooking.
revealed.
Oh,
There's a lot.
Go ahead and write both of those down, Danny, so that you don't forget that those
We
two
are
things need
hitting
to be
the
added
end
into
game
the
for
scene.
sure.
Oh
This
shit!
is-
What did I just press?
Oh man!
Oh, I just zoomed out. Never mind.
And then I just roll all of them.
And then roll all of them again.
Let's do it. I got another tie, but this time indulgence 1. So indulgence is 4 again. And it
Okay.
shall remain 4 forever. And then both servility and savagery were at 2.
Okay, now roll one more d6.
Man, really wanted to get my rolls in at the end here. I didn't feel like I rolled enough. 6 this time.
6. Okay. All right. Hate, the most common commodity, exerts its powerful influence. So, Danny, you get to take all 3 of those prompts and determine how those 3 things influence the indulgent decision that Xavier makes.
Indulgent being satiation, greed, and selfishness. Okay, so this is crazy. This is insane. I think that I'm just gonna go in order of the special events. Let me know what you guys think if this is a terrible enough truth. What do we think of revealing the fact that Xavier and V have been working together in secret to try to push some sort of big move? What do we think of that?
I think that's an interesting truth, but it's not a terrible one.
And a terrible one. Okay. Maybe I'll come back to that then. Because I think okay, so that the last event, hate, that most common commodity exerts its powerful influence. I think Xavier has grown to truly hate Rexton. And he wants to finally be in a position where he feels authority over Rexton, you know? And I think after this Marine captain came to him with this, he thinks that if someone other than Drusain if Drusain were to be pushed out of office, he might be able to have that. Oh, maybe Xavier wants to be the governor.
Yeah, I was just about to say. He's the only
Yeah.
one who can remove Drusain, and maybe he wants to take
Yeah.
over gubernatorial duties.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I'm, acting governor for however long he wants to be.
Mm-hmm. Someone has to die.
Yeah, I feel like there are 2 clear choices:
What?
Rexton or
Rexton?
the governor.
Oh yeah, I think. Do I want to kill Rexton because I hate Rexton as a?
Oh, let him
human
sit in
being?
it. Let him sit.
Or do I want? I think Rexton needs to survive because in every
I
single,
mean, you can still kill Rexton at the end, but I just also want you to kill the governor.
yeah, we're not killing.
But also, it's
Joffrey
your
in the
choice.
first season. We need to keep them alive.
I think. I think it could be interesting to have Rexton die because you can move the governor out of the way without having to kill them. Xavier
Yeah.
has that power.
Yeah, and I think it's more interesting because I think Xavier has like a very dysfunctional attachment to Rexton too, and so that'll like definitely fuck him up. Rexton dying,
Yeah.
Oh, what's a terrible truth? I kind of want to. Maybe I can.
He's
Maybe
planning to kill his husband.
No, I think I want to go more.
I think the terrible truth
Nice.
has to be something separate from.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I kind of want to
fair,
go. I
yeah.
kind of want to play into Xavier's faith. Like, maybe there's some terrible truth about his faith.
Maybe the terrible truth about his faith is that he's not part of the mainline faith. He's part of some cult.
Yes, I like that. Yeah.
What if
What
the cult leader is who he's trying to put into power as governor?
maybe? What if I was thinking about? So there's a cave, right?
There
There's
is a cave system.
system, Volkswagen. What if at some point in the past Xavier had discovered this portion of the uncharted cave where there were these like ancient alien writings, and a lot of that, like, either the writings he found and after he was able to like find someone to translate them were either in contrast of his original faith or like he was able to like add some things to his faith through finding that, like he like basically yeah, like discovered this like seemingly new and more powerful like deity, and he's been essentially practicing that and pushing that since discovering that, and for who knows how long. This like foreign, what's the word,
Religion?
like xeno religion. you know
So his faith was a secret the whole time.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like very like cosmic horror-esque, some great old being that he's pledged his life to, and maybe that's the faith that he's taken an oath to never deny or abandon. I like that.
So wait, what was the situation? You had just called Rexton.
Yeah, it's called Rexton. Oh yeah, well, I guess we have to figure out how this happens. How does Rexton even die?
So
That's up to you.
we had left
Yeah.
the situation. The reason why we rolled was because he was pondering if he should actually get rid of the governor or not.
Mhm.
We know that he has to act with indulgence, and we know that these three events have to happen. That it is revealed that he is essentially the follower of a cult, like the cult leader, I guess, technically.
Mhm.
Since he's on his own. Some alien religion. And Rexton is gonna die. And it's through hate.
Yeah.
Through his
Um,
hate that overtakes
Yeah.
him.
And so I think what happens is I think that phone call was kind of the final straw for Xavier, especially Rexton saying that. And he just also, like, as we've established, through his own selfish desires and as a bonus being able to spite Rexton and being like, we don't need to get rid of the governor, decides to do that. And I think we don't need to play it out, but I think Xavier comes home later that night, maybe after church, because I think Rexton had decided to meet Xavier at church. After church, they both go home, and Xavier tells Rexon of his decision to do that, and Rexon probably belittles and shows disfavor in that decision. Like, oh, okay, like what was the point of this? There's no reason. Like, who are we gonna find as a new governor? Blah blah blah. And I think at some point Xavier says, "Well, me, I could be the new governor." And I imagine Rexon like takes that as just a pure joke, right?
I mean,
Like, you, governor. And I think we see a scene of Rexon. I don't want to take too much liberty over your character, Johnny, but I think we see a scene of Rexon just going at Xavier, being like, "You could never be governor," blah blah blah, blah blah blah, like just going and going. And then we see Xavier just thieving, and ooh. Evan, I think Xavier just strangles Rexon to death. Just jumps on him. And is just like, shut up! Shut up! Shut up! As I don't think he was trying to kill Rexon, but
I mean, he didn't actively decide to do it, but
yeah.
he was killing him.
Mm-hmm. And I think after it's done, Xavier's like, Rexon? Rexon, come on. Rexon? Oh God. Oh. And then there's like confusion, maybe satisfaction, even like sorrow. It's like the things running through Xavier's mind is insane. And I think he resorts to dropping to his knees and praying and asking this ancient being that he's pledged his faith to what to do next. Which is probably gotta be the governor.
Cool. I think that we would probably only have time for not even a whole another scene. So I think the way we're gonna end this
It's already 120.
is we are gonna go ahead and just let's kind of free flowing. Let's talk through how we think things end for these characters and this colony that we'll probably never visit again.
Yeah. If Xavier becomes governor, Berkstown is not in good hands.
Yeah, so
oh God.
it's probably something like akin to like, I guess it's not necessarily a military coup because Xavier does have the authority, but
it's a religious coup.
It's an administrative coup.
Yeah,
and
the Marine captain is backing him, and he doesn't really know. Marine captain has no idea that Xavier's going to be really weird about the religion thing.
Yeah,
but I think the simultaneous like murdering of his own husband, which I'm certain that's where the connection to like the Dimmer Dammer comes in. Like he asks like the Dimmer Dammer to like hide, like make it seem like something else happened, and maybe they frame like a convict in the house or something. But yeah, and I think it's like a combination of murdering his own husband and all of a sudden being the most powerful person on the planet. He just is like, this is our religion now.
Oh God.
Like starts enforcing it.
Yeah, I think that there's a certain level where Otto already had the most power on the planet in a practical sense.
Yeah.
And I think that I could see a situation where Xavier takes over as governor and things start falling apart. What semblance of order has existed begins to deteriorate. All these different things start to fall apart. And relatively quickly, Xavier gets a visit from V, and Otto stops dancing around the idea of there being some balance between the authority and the convicted, and just takes over Burkestown fully, which would more likely than not result in authority ships showing up and just raising the colony.
Yeah.
But Otto planned for that. And utilized the tunnels that they only knew were there because they were there, and the actual survey didn't have any knowledge about those.
Yeah.
And they get to start fresh, start over.
Yeah, it was like a secret colony.
Some limited time on an incredibly hostile world.
I love
it was productive. So like, sorry, go for it, Danny.
I was gonna say, I love how we never addressed like the dangerous wildlife, because I feel like we didn't need to. Like I feel like all the while there are just people either who are leaving the walls and really killed that wildlife, or
right. But it like creates like a really oppressive like space, right? Because everybody's like, I think the idea is like everyone's like crammed into like it's not even like a dome of a city. It's literally just these buildings like that people are like moving through and around, and because it's just not safe to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah. No matter how dangerous it is within the walls of the colony, it's more dangerous to leave.
Yeah.
And you see how that like collective cabin fever can fuck everyone up.
Yeah. And it did.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally made you guys do a decimation like ritual from like ancient Roman legions.
I also like the idea of it not even being an actual like eldritch being that Xaver decided to worship. It's like it's just an issue of his own psyche.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think it's really cool.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. There's not like, it probably wasn't even like a god creature. It might have just been like some like cave drawings of like essentially what is a mammoth for those aliens, and he was
exactly, and he's like,
or even just didn't know that he ate some of those berries that we never got around.
You're so right. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh for god. Sure. Oh,
and
I think that's definitely it. Yeah.
It's completely real in his mind, but nothing but a hallucination induced by the toxins in the berry.
Oh.
But
who the hell is Creech?
Who the hell is Creech?
We definitely didn't answer that. We know what, you don't have to. We didn't.
We don't have to. We don't. Like, listeners, if you have an idea who Creech is, you tell us. Who
hit us up in the Discord.
Yeah. But with that, we're gonna end it. Thank you for joining us. If you are with us live, this is not what we normally play. Normally we're playing D&D on Sundays, but we had, as we mentioned at the beginning of the first episode, we had a couple people who weren't going to be able to be here, and so we record 2 episodes at a time, which is why they weren't here for this episode as well. But next time you see us, we should be back to our regularly scheduled D&D session, and I had a lot of fun, but I will probably never play this game again.
Yep. Lots of fun.
But it was a ton of fun. Again, this was Durance by Jason Morningstar. If you guys want to check it out, it is a ton of fun. I would recommend checking it out. We just don't necessarily have a lot of time to play other games than the games we normally play, unless things like this happen. So who knows? Maybe we will play it again. Maybe we'll check out another game when that time comes. But in any case, thank you for joining us if you're with us live. Thank you for joining us if you are with us on the podcast. Either way, we are so glad that you're here, that you came to explore new worlds with us, and we will see you next time.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.